Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Half a Clue Movie Review, where four loser, dipshit, piece of shit assholes discuss their terrible and unwanted opinions on movies every week.
Goddamn.
I am your host, Blake, and I'm, of course, joined by...
Jason?
Je m'appelle Ron.
Je m'appelle Jean-Philippe.
On this week's podcast, we will be talking about A Quiet Place Part 2, a film made by a man who literally built his entire career smirking and playing with Jell-O. We'll also be talking about the French cinematic classic A Man Escapes, directed by Robert Bresson. It's a movie about a man trying to escape imprisonment, much like I'm trying to escape this room right now.
Okay, that's fair. I'm excited. Let's talk some French cinema and sound and film.
Yeah, so obviously we picked some movies that are very sound-oriented, movies where the sound kind of is the dominant force at play.
Yeah.
I think A Quiet Place is obvious. You know, the first movie is very, very quiet. They're also doing a lot of interesting things with the deaf character where they jump in and out of audio. And obviously Man Escaped, uses sound pretty interesting too.
It's all about a guy trying to get out of prison, and he's working very meticulously as he's, not trying to be heard, and while he's listening to the guards and stuff.
Okay.
Interesting.
All right. Well, I guess before we kind of get into that, just any off the top, is there any off the top news you guys want to, kind of get into or talk?
They're making a Willy Wonka origin movie.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Why?
That almost felt like a joke when I read the headline.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Timothy Chalamet. Yeah.
Why?
That sounds awful.
It sounds
honestly.
awful, but I'll be interested. Honestly, it's.
Nah.
I'll say this. It's like it depends on the director. Like, let's just say, what if Denis Villeneuve is the director?
Then I would say,
Okay.
why the
Yeah.
fuck are you directing this?
What if he just like I have an idea for this? It's like it's just coming from my
Okay,
stomach.
look, I'm not okay, and I'm not like I'm not the police when it comes to like remaking properties. Like one of my dream projects I want to direct is I really want to like turn Dexter the TV show into like a movie trilogy. Like I think like making adaptations and remakes and stuff, it's fine when it's inspired, but I just don't understand who fucking like watched the Willy Wonka movie and went like this really, oh man, I really want to get into the deep origins of this character.
I mean, I think it really just kind of takes away a lot of what made Willy Wonka special. Like, I mean, there's like, it's not like a secret. It's like the less you know, the better for certain types of characters. And Willy Wonka is one of those characters who he's unpredictable. You don't really know where he's come from, what he's thinking. That's part of what Gene Wilder was really trying to portray in the original. He wanted to make sure that like Willy Wonka was not just an eccentric character, but like mysterious. And you completely undermine that by like going and diving deep into his backstory.
They already did his origin.
Yeah, you didn't like the dentist? That his dad was a dentist?
Yes, they did.
Count Dooku's like his dad, and like he's like a dentist, and he made him wear braces or something.
Yeah,
and now he's like scarred from it.
Wasn't allowed to eat candy, so then now he's obsessed with eating candy.
I almost said.
Wait, is that true?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
Tim
Tim
Burton
Burton
one.
one.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Count Dooku. I almost said, do you think they're going to get Christopher Lee back? But I remembered. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Christopher
Christopher
Lee.
Lee.
Sir
Yeah.
Christopher Lee.
The real life inspiration for James Bond.
Yeah,
was-
that's
he was
true.
an
Is that
master,
true?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
he
that-
was friends with Ian Fleming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
There's-
go back. He was a
there's-
Secret Service agent. And like, yeah.
There's like stories about on set of
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings where like he was like telling them how to do like sound design for like getting stabbed. He's like, that's not what it sounds like when someone gets stabbed. And like he like would tell Peter Jackson shit like that, and Peter Jackson's like, okay.
yeah.
Oh gosh. This is good.
I don't know. It's like the ultimate I don't care.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Probably
I'll say
don't
this.
see a
I'm
reason
probably
for
gonna
it.
watch it because it sounds hilarious, but I don't know. I don't know why. Who wants this? Who pitched this? I wish I could be at the meeting where someone's
That's
like,
what I'm saying. Maybe the pitch is really great. We never know. And also, I mean, the pitch was good enough to get Timothy Chalamet, right? That guy could do anything in his career right now. I mean, that guy's like, he's Oscar nominated, one of the youngest Oscar nominated actors ever. He's like in The French Dispatch. He's gonna be in Dune.
I used to give more credit to actors, like, with their career choices. They pick certain movies, but like, I don't know. Tom Hardy was in Venom. And he's now in Venom too.
Because that's when he needed the paycheck, right?
Yeah,
It's just like,
it's like I don't know, man.
they could have made that work though. That's on them. That
Yeah,
dropped
yeah.
the ball so hard.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
But
saying.
he also
is, like,
read the script, right?
yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, I know that one. Like, it's probably because like he probably signed on for like a script he enjoyed,
mhm.
and then like there was like
And then
9
they
different
changed it.
revisions. It's too late. He's like, I already gave you half your paycheck. It's
So
like,
I'm giving Willy Wonka that same benefit of like mostly doubt.
Yeah.
Like I'm like saying, okay, maybe they're just maybe he did read something early on, or they pitched him an idea and he was like, ooh, that sounds cool. But I feel like somehow that's not going to end up good.
No, it's probably just gonna end up like like the Tim Burton one.
Yeah, I don't
Probably
like
just bad. I mean, I never gave a shit about Willy Wonka anyway. Like,
I
I
like-
never understood it. Like, it always just felt stupid to me.
I liked the first one a lot as a kid. I watched the first one. I had the VHS tape. I watched that like 100 times as like a kid. And then, just to speak on the record, I've only seen the Tim Burton one once, and it came out around the same age. So that's like how much of an impression it left on me. I watched it literally once. Never thought about it again.
I was always a big fan of the original one. Like as a kid, I remember, I don't know, going to someone's house one day and it was just on, and then watching it and just being totally pulled in. Just being like, well, this is awesome. And then like later I read the books because I'm like, I don't know, I read like a lot of Roald Dahl when I was a kid too. And I will give Tim Burton some credit where he tried to make his adaptation a little bit more like, more faithful to the books, but in all of like really the superficial ways. That doesn't really matter. Like there's just I don't know.
I don't want to hear the words Tim Burton and adaptation in the same sentence anymore.
Oh man, yeah, it's like he's done some pretty good adaptations before. The Batman films,
Okay.
Big Fish.
Yeah, Big Fish
Big
was good.
Fish.
Big Fish.
I
sucks.
love Big Fish.
Big Fish is great.
Big Fish sucks.
It's great.
I haven't finished it. So
Okay.
I guess I'm-
Let's. Wait. So what about like trailers? Have you guys seen the like any new trailers? I know there's Old and Eternals, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I saw the Eternals trailer. I guess I watched Old as well.
Yeah.
But Eternals definitely looks better than Old in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
I'll say this. I mean, I get it. I don't know. It's like I always want M Night to come back in like full force. He kind of did with Split, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
He instantly fucked it up though.
Oh, Glass.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I liked parts of Glass though. Like
Some parts,
there's chunks of it that I liked, and up to a certain point, and then after that, it began to spiral.
I'll say that I respect Glass, but I don't like it. Like I respect
I agree with that.
respect the vision. Don't really care for it.
yeah.
I will say this about the old trailer. M. Night, it's been 20 years. You can't just put from the director of The Sixth Sense anymore. I've made like 15 movies.
At least put Split,
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I don't know. I'll say that like the trailer, the concept was cool. I didn't even realize it was an M. Night movie at first, and then as the trailer kept progressing, and then obviously when they throw up like Sixth Sense and like everything else, M. Night Shyamalan, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then the trailer just kept going and going.
It almost
and
ruled the
going.
entire
And I was
movie.
like,
I was-
okay, so like this loses all the mystique. Like the concept is cool, but yeah.
I was getting the Happening vibes from that trailer.
It's
like,
yeah.
I know it's based on a graphic novel. I'm gonna try to read it before, but apparently all he did was he read the premise of the graphic novel and he was like, "That's so cool," and doesn't read it. And
Oh
he
my
bought the rights. But I know he read it
So,
eventually.
so
but
like
yeah.
Avatar, he just heard the
Yeah,
premise
yeah.
and was like, "That's cool," but I don't give a shit
Did,
about any of the actual source
Does the whole
material.
movie take place on the beach? Not that that's
Yeah,
a problem.
yeah,
Yeah,
apparently.
probably.
Apparently, yeah.
Which
It
again,
looks
is,
like it.
It's not
Yeah.
bad. That's not a bad concept. Is they're rapidly aging on a beach.
Yeah.
That can be horrifying, but we'll see what happens.
It just, I'll see it. But,
I think also he might have like financed it or co-financed it. He's been doing that ever since The Visit. Because apparently he wants like full creative control all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which
and
is
also I guess
cool.
he makes a lot more money that way too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, again, that's fine. I think that's in most creators, that's good.
Yeah.
That's like something you can like really fulfill your beliefs, but also you need somebody there sometimes to really just call you out on your shit.
I feel
Yeah.
the same way about M. Night as I do with Zack Snyder, where respect it, but most of his movies don't work
Yeah.
for me.
And to harken back to the Willy Wonka thing, I mean, there looked like there's some pretty good actors in that movie, but I mean, fucking Paul Giamatti was in Lady in the Water, so I think it's not enough to save it. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
think.
What? No.
What about Eternals? Are you guys excited for that?
It was a good trailer.
It's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, everyone's asking the question of like, why didn't they show up when Thanos like snapped half the universe
I'm
away?
sure they'll explain it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have some way of explaining it. It looked interesting. It looked pretty cool. I don't know.
It visually looks awesome.
Yeah, visually it looks
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they use the same like camera rig as for Nomadland and stuff,
Mhm.
and so it's like all like and almost always natural lighting. So it looks very different from the other films.
Yeah.
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 Even from the color grading, I was like, oh, there's like color, there's contrast.
Yeah.
I was
It
like,
definitely looks like it's gonna be the most unique Marvel film.
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't really like in the trailer was the ending, like how they like were all sitting at a table and we're like cracking jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll see how it is in the movie, but the tone of the trailer is completely different from that, and then they just shoehorn that in, like, look, it's gonna be fun, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's not just gonna be all depressing, just people staring out on the wilderness, wondering whether they needed to poo in buckets or something. Oh my! If somebody poos in a bucket, like the Eternals,
I'm gonna lose it. I'm
I'll
gonna
love
fucking lose
10
it.
out of 10, masterpiece.
We're week like 5 for 5 on shit buckets.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What have you guys been watching lately? Then, like, anything cool, interesting?
I just started watching MODOK, which was actually really cool. The stop motion animation mixed with like Patton Oswalt doing the voiceover of MODOK himself. Really fun. Speaking of Marvel properties, although the intro logo was of like the original Fox Studio Marvel, which I think makes way more sense because it's really weird. It's out there. It's really fun. It's not for kids. It's produced by Seth Green, which thank God. I love Seth Green. I love Robot Chicken. And I'm like, if he was not attached to this project, I'm sure he would hang himself. Like, the dude's a big nerd, and this is like the great opportunity. I love Seth Green. I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, no, it was super fun. The tone was really cool, like just goofy and over the top, and MODOK was hilarious. So I can't wait to see more of that show.
Seth Green's is not enough stuff. Like, I love that guy. He's like, and I mean, I didn't watch Robot Chicken until later, but I saw him like the first time I saw him was in Austin Powers.
Oh
yeah, the son.
Yeah,
he's bald and the gold member and stuff. And
yeah,
I was like, oh,
he was in an episode of My Name Is Earl.
He was.
Oh yeah.
He's in Buffy the Vampire
doesn't he?
Slayer.
Yeah,
he's in like a super serious episode of My Name Is Earl.
Yeah, he's just like a nerd who just
right?
he just wants to make a movie. He always wanted to be big into movies, and then he gets the whole town together to make a shitty little film, but like it was like the best movie that they'd all seen, and they're like all really loved it because they all recognized each other and had a good time, and they're watching at the screening after he died, and it's like really sad. It was probably one of the best episodes of My Name Is Earl, honestly.
That ended on a cliffhanger, right? That show.
Yeah,
I remember. Okay,
Crabman was not the father.
They actually, I think, I could be totally wrong, so don't take this as like gospel. I've heard that they actually didn't know what they were going to do next. Like they were kind of just going to wing something.
It'd be interesting. I mean, you kind of hope they had a plan, but if they're just going to wing it, could be interesting.
Yeah.
I'll spare everyone, and I won't get too deep into it. But I did watch a couple episodes of Lost again.
Oh no,
season 4, the Daniel Faraday season. But we don't have to go there.
Yeah, don't.
That's not a rabbit hole or anything.
Oh gosh,
Rabbit hole.
I think I only watched it as a kid because like my mom was like, "Oh, there's Korean people in it." And I was like, oh wow, really? I was like, yeah, and it's Daniel Day Kim, and then the chick from I keep forgetting her name. I'm sorry, actress lady. What's it called? She's from Shiri, like this Korean film called Shiri, which is like our version of like Heat, right? And it was super big, so that's why when she came over to Lost, everyone was like Korean. It was all broadcasting in Korean, like oh, Korea, yes, 대한민국. And they were like, and then like no one cared. They were fast. Like I remember my mom would fast forward. So my understanding of plot season 1 was terrible because it would just fast forward until the Koreans pop up. Oh, yeah.
Dude, Daniel Day Kim actually has like one of the best arcs on that whole show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sun and
He's probably
Jin.
one of the best actors on the show as well.
Yeah, he's really
yeah.
good. I wish he was in like more. Is he in like Korean stuff?
He's in like was it CSI or something?
He was in Hellboy recently as a werewolf.
Was he really?
Yeah.
Korean werewolf.
Yeah, that one was actually like that was interesting because like I know the hot dude Ed Skrein from Deadpool, the villain Francis.
Yeah,
he was supposed to play that character, but because he was like Asian in the comics, like he found out. Good for Ed Skrein. He was like, "Oh, I'll back out."
Oh,
and Daniel was like, cool. "I'm taking the role." And then the movie sucked, so they had a happy ending in the end of the story.
That's too
Yeah,
bad.
Daniel Day Kim does kind of steal a lot of Lost, though.
Yeah. I mean, the Sun and Jin storyline is so like well done. Like it's like you think it's one note, 1 second, where it's just like, oh, he's just an abusive asshole, like he's just a dick husband, and it's like, oh no, it's actually more complicated than that.
Yeah, though his flashback episode, season 1
One
was
of the best
probably the
episodes.
best.
And then the whole, I think the infertility. I don't know why I have such a hard time saying that. Maybe I'm infertile. Oh, please no. But then infertility storyline with him and his wife was like pretty. It was pretty touching, and then especially the last scene they have together. Not spoiling it for anyone who's seen Lost.
Yeah, they have one of the high emotions.
Yeah,
high
one of the
emotional scenes with each other.
Not Penny's boat. That's not their scene, but still.
What's it called?
One of the other best
one of these
emotions.
days, I'm gonna make you all watch all of Lost and we're gonna discuss it.
I watched all the Korean
I love
scenes.
Lost, kind of. I don't think it's great, but I like watching it a lot.
It's definitely
It's fun. Can we
worthy
say?
of
Can we agree that
discussion.
it's very fun?
Yeah.
that's
I
fine.
mean, there's like it was really one of those last really great water cooler, kind of shows where it was week to week, every week, everyone's standing around being like, "What the fuck is happening?" Like,
That's what the writers were saying. You know?
Can you what? Did you hear this episode? Oh man, this thing happened. What does that mean? Nothing. Doesn't mean anything.
Pearly.
I know Damon Lindelof. He wanted to end the show like season 3 or 4, but then he's like, "This is all the story we have." But they just kept on like, "You can't." They were like, "You can't," and they like, cheat money, and they're like, "Dude, no." But he's like, "Money, no, okay."
I wouldn't mind framing that like conversation being an intro, just talking about like Damon Lindelof's career generally, because he's had a very interesting career.
Prometheus.
I think, Prometheus, which again, not without flaws, but
I like
Prometheus.
I like
Yeah.
Prometheus. I do.
I think it's
it.
suffers from being
We'll talk about it
being an
one day.
alien film. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
but-
it does suffer from being an alien film.
but then also there's like The Leftovers, which is one of the best TV shows in the past 10 years. Like, it's so good.
People say that that's like Lost done right.
Yeah. No, I think
really.
I think that's pretty much like I realize Damon Lindelof, if he has full creative control, it turns out great. But if he's just writing it or just kind of passive, then it's kind of like not the best.
Yeah, I think he needs that full expression of his ideas. He's one of those creators that actually really does.
He was one of the first
need
people
that
to
full
get
thing.
bullied off of social media for Lost.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Like he actually like deleted all of his like social media presence because he was getting bullied so much because people hated the ending of Lost.
After watching
That's sad.
Leftovers and then like Watchmen, I really don't.
oh,
put
he's
too much.
been watching.
Yeah, he made
Yeah,
Watchmen.
I really don't put too much like blame on him for what happened with Prometheus or with Lost. Like I think he's a really smart guy. He really has like a plan.
Somehow I've derailed this conversation.
Every week will be a recurring theme about Tomorrowland. He did Tomorrowland too. My God, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, he wrote it. Yeah, but
we'll have a. Oh, did he?
yeah, he wrote it. Yeah.
We'll
Well,
have
that's
a.
a whole
War Z?
rabbit hole. I don't want to get into it. I have very much thoughts
We'll
about
talk
that.
about
man.
Damon Lindelof. You know how like the end of the Marvel movies, it's like Thor will return. Be like Damon Lindelof will return.
Damon Lindelof will return at one point.
We'll talk about him.
What's it called?
Who I like, by the way. I want to be on record saying that I do really like his creative.
Best
vision.
social media posts. Yeah.
All right, do you guys want to move into the topics of today?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, Quiet Place. We just recently discussed, directed by John Krasinski. The film came out, I think, 2017, and then it was kind of a
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, 2018. It was a sleeper hit. Came out, and no one really expected much of it, but then suddenly everyone loved it. It's a story about a family who was in the midst of an alien invasion, where these aliens could hear sounds at such a, like what's called a specific level. So they have to, adjust their whole life regarding that, and it's how they struggle to survive in this scenario. And also, Mary Poppins is pregnant. I don't know why I added that, but it's just true.
Don't get pregnant during the apocalypse. Just don't do it.
Well, let's not nitpick it to death because it's been done.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, no,
yeah.
for sure. Everyone's torn this movie apart for like there's so many little things that don't quite add up, which was a problem I had even rewatching it, even knowing like a lot of the nitpicks. I was just like it did pull me out a few times, I will say. Certain things I was like, why would you do that?
It's a very solid 5 out of 10. Like when I watched it in theaters, I wasn't upset that I spent money on it the first time around. I was like, yeah, okay. I liked a lot of it, but I disliked a lot of it too. And I think, sorry, we're talking about the first one right now.
Oh yeah, we're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
into
we're
the
talking
first
about
Quiet
it.
Place. Here we go.
I don't know. I kind of wanted to, because I can summarize my opinions of this movie in a couple sentences.
Yeah.
I like it. I like a lot of it, but I think the biggest issue is that it lacks subtlety in every possible way. Like everything.
The whiteboard.
Oh my dude.
Weakness.
Attack question mark.
Yeah.
Weapons question mark. So I think that it's like a fun idea, and it's mostly done right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
competent.
it's competent. Yeah, you can nitpick a lot of it, but whatever. I don't care too much. My biggest problem is it lacks subtlety in every fucking regard it possibly could. So everything is. I know that it has to be visual, but you can be visual without being in your face. Like I was thinking, there's like the shot of her calendar, and it's like due date written like in extra fucking poignant Sharpie, and it's like you could have just had an X on the calendar, we would have gotten it. Or when they establish she's pregnant, you see her putting up the like the baby thing. What's that called? The baby chandelier.
Like yeah.
Oh yeah,
What's that
baby
called?
the
chandelier.
things to make babies
Yeah.
less baby.
But like
It's a
okay,
chandelier made of babies.
It's called a mobile.
a what?
A mobile. A mobile?
Oh,
Are
mobile.
you sure?
Mobile.
Yeah.
I think
Oh.
you're wrong.
I'm correct on this
So
one.
she's putting up whatever. I'm going to call it a baby chandelier. So she's putting up the baby chandelier, and you can get from that already she's pregnant. But then she stands up, and the camera like zooms in on her like pregnant stomach, and the movie's filled with shit like that where it's just so obvious. And same thing with the dialogue, or well, I guess the subtitled dialogue. It's very like. I don't know. There's no nuance to it. There's no subtlety. It's very like do not, yes, no. And then I think the big one that I think Ron agrees with me on is the one scene where they do talk. It's like the most obvious exchanges of dialogue ever, where it's like,
Yeah.
do you still love her? Of course I do.
Wasn't
But
as wooden
she
as that.
blames
but-
herself. Well, she shouldn't. It's just,
Yeah.
but you get what I mean? There's no, it's very like, it's as straightforward as an
Yeah, it's almost
unsubtle-
robotic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
I
just-
try to give John Krasinski a little leeway because this was like what his second.
Third.
No, this
Third.
is okay. Another thing, people stop saying this is his first film and like amazing auteur. This is his third fucking film.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
he
to
has
get
had some more
chances.
chances for this.
Yeah.
This is probably what his first big budget film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his first big budget. Yeah.
Okay, but it's like I don't know. It does definitely lack a lot of subtlety. There's a lot of stuff that I think was done right. Like the beginning being very silent pulls you in, draws you in like the focus into like you have to kind of listen a little bit more, which I appreciate. You're just kind of figuring out at first, piecing together what's happening in this world or what happened, and that was interesting. I don't know. It's like I like the way they kill the kid in the opening of the movie,
Yeah.
which I think is good. It establishes the danger of the world.
that was a
but-
good move.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
okay.
most movies. It's like one of those unwritten rules where you don't usually kill the kid. I don't know. I think Jaws did it though back in the 70s. It really broke it. The kid gets eaten. But it's a good way of establishing that like nobody is safe, right? Anything could happen here. Anyone could die. And it's a decent way of starting it off.
Yeah, I agree with the opening. It was a decent way to start it off, but just the way it was executed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this was like what? It was like 45 days since the day of the invasion. That's what they said, or like
Yeah.
80 days.
Oh, I think it's 80.
Yeah, 80, something like that, right? So this kid for 80 days realized like he's seen like, especially after seeing part 2, like
Yeah,
he's seen
yeah.
people get murdered over sound, like smacked, split into smithereens.
I would consider
and,
this a nitpick, though.
Yeah. Oh, come on, that's
it's
a-
a bit of a contrivance. I'll agree.
right,
but-
it's a big one, and then like the fact that he doesn't know that sound would like attract these monsters.
He's just standing there.
and he's standing there normally, and he's like,
Just like waving it around as like everyone's panicked.
And John
shocked
Krasinski's
faces,
like running towards.
he's like,
him.
don't do it. And he's just like, da 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 da.
Yeah.
Just like waving a little spaceship around in the air.
yeah.
And then he gets, as you also hear the monster like ripping through the forest, which, by the way, that is also a bit of a nitpick. I'm really gonna try not to nitpick these movies, but these are the clumsiest monsters like
Oh, I
in
know.
film history. They just tear.
Stumble.
Yeah, they're constantly stumbling and
I
tearing
kind of
through
like that
everything.
though. It's kind of fun.
Well, I guess because they can't see.
I
Well, then
actually-
But they have
super hearing.
echolocation, yeah.
they have
Can we
super
just call
hearing,
them
never mind.
demigorgons?
They,
Yeah, I was gonna say
Okay.
that.
Dude.
The design of the monsters themselves is somewhat interesting. They're a little face
They're demigorgons.
fleshy thing,
Yeah.
but they do feel like rip-off demigorgons. a
They're
little bit.
demigorgons meets Venom
Not even, okay.
because they have like the Venom teeth.
They do.
Yeah, and also like, oh gosh, I no, I'll get it. I have my thoughts about the monsters, but I'm gonna get into part 2 when we talk about lore and everything because how they expand on it.
Yeah.
But, oh my gosh. But then, yeah, no, I agree. I agree with all the nitpicks. I think I could go pretty in, but then I think I know
There's no point.
Yeah, I mean,
we've said it
how
a
about we
lot.
start off with just saying stuff we liked about the film? Because I think
The first one?
yeah, their use of sound, I think, was done fairly well. I think like just like the moment where the kid is, going back to the kid where he gets killed. It was very, very tense, right? I think a moment that I also really liked is when they're in the basement and they're just signing to each other because they can't speak. out loud because the monsters will hear literally everything. But they like she's listening to music with their headphones, and then they both put it in each other's ears, and they're just like dancing with each other. I thought that was a very sweet moment, and it felt like I don't know, very authentic. Like this, like yeah, of course that's how you would have to dance in this world because you can't listen to music.
I agree with that. I think he's okay. I think John Krasinski is pretty good at pulling performances from the actor, especially his own wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then creating good family dynamics. And then I think that's about it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I like the sound design too. I actually think it was better in this one than in the follow up, but we'll get into that.
I disagree.
Okay. I also hold my opinion until later. All right. What about you, Jason? What are your kind of overall thoughts on the first one at least?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have time to rewatch it this week. But from what I remember, and it's basically my favorite part of part 2 is he creates a tension really well. I think like he really sets up a scene and then builds on it and builds on it, especially because the movie is so silent, and that just adds to the tension, and I think that works really well. I thought the performances were good. I just didn't really like the script. I feel like it could have been elevated if the script was just slightly better. But yeah, I don't know. When John Krasinski died, I didn't care.
Another one of the lines where she's like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt are talking, and she says, "What are we if we can't protect them? We have to protect them. You have to protect them." It's like, we get it.
Yeah.
There's like 6 writers or some shit, right?
Yeah, it was like I think the original writers for the original. The thing is, I don't even know how much. Like, I would love to read the original script. This is Brian Woods and Scott Beck. It's like their original idea. Yeah. But then John saw this and somehow was like, "This is a family metaphor. It's about my family," and he changes the entire script to how he thinks it'll be, and that's what we get for Quiet Place 1. Yeah.
I do have a couple more things I wanted to say really quick.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a compliment that leads into a criticism. So and this is actually gonna go for both movies. I really like the girl, but I think that this series should commit to making her the main character.
Yeah,
because like they kind of go halfway with that, where the first movie has John Krasinski and he kind of, I think, steals a lot of the spotlight, and then in the second movie, I don't want to get too far into it because we're about to talk about it, but Cillian Murphy kind of steals a lot of the spotlight. When I really think that the little girl should just be the main character. Obviously, she's the driving force of the plot for both movies, and also, it's just more interesting given her circumstances. She's deaf, and also, I guess I'll just segment this into my second thing I wanted to say. I do really like the ending of Quiet Place 1. I really like that ending. It's I think this was kind of a big theme that year. My weakness is actually my power. That seemed to be kind of a huge theme. This movie did it. Split did it. There's a Kanye West song that ends with him saying, "My weakness is my superpower." But yeah, that whole ending where they're fucked, but then it turns out that the frequencies she can broadcast with her hearing aid through the amplifier actually is what can stop the monsters. And then the movie kind of just ends, and I think some people might not like that, but I loved it. It literally just ends with her realizing she's not so helpless. I thought that was fucking great. Okay,
yeah. I mean, this could be a nitpick as well. But if like, how did no one else figure that the fuck out?
Yeah.
Like the military would have been on that immediately. Like, just
like,
play music. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
these
really loud.
These creatures have like extremely sensitive hearing. We should just blast the shit out of them with listening to or anything, like just test different frequencies that like fuck with them.
That being said, they do fuck it up when she looks at John Krasinski's notes and it's sort of like, what is the weakness?
Yeah, the weakness. There's like a pile of like hearing aids. It's like, oh, okay. I did like the actress, the deaf actress in the
Millicent
the
Simmons.
Movie. Yeah, she was pretty good, but she annoyed the crap out of me in the first movie. Just everything that she was doing, that felt contrived with her just being like really fussy and like stuff. And a part of me, I understand, like she feels the guilt of basically getting her brother killed because she gave him the toy that got him killed. Which again, why the hell did the kid pick with the batteries? But whatever. Yeah. He's a little boy, fine, he can get away with that. But like, there's a moment too where she's like, they're both on top of the silo. They're doing exactly what they've been trained to do, which is like when they get separated, go up there, go to a place, the father will find them, and her brother is like, he will come for us. And she's like, he's gonna come for you, not for me. And then she leaves, and it's like, what the fuck difference does that make? like you got, if you stay in the same place, he's gonna come to you. All you're doing right now, literally all you're doing right now is you're getting someone else killed. And she does. The dad dies. John Krasinski gets killed because they try to run away, and then of course that's when the monsters, hear them and come after them and whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. Yeah, his scream.
Dude, his scream was hilarious. Did they have to do it that way?
The thing is, I don't understand. Like, any sound would detract them. Yeah. Like, there's like he has a metal shovel, right? And there's other metal objects. If you just threw it and at it.
No one ever does that. No one ever throws anything. No, right?
They haven't
does
played
that
Metal.
Happen?
They haven't played Metal Gear Solid.
Someone does that.
Yeah,
at one point.
They should have played Metal Gear Solid. Did Metal Gear Solid and Splinter Cell not exist in this world? You just throw rocks.
Divert things with sound.
Or Assassin's Creed. Just like any of those things.
Yeah. There's two people that die by screaming.
Oh yeah. That asshole. Okay, I'm not gonna get into it. I feel like I could really go into the asshole old man who just suddenly decides to scream when there's people around for some reason.
Yeah, it's like you want to kill yourself, fine. But like, if you want to kill yourself by monster, okay.
That's a contrivance. You're gonna kill yourself the second that John Krasinski is like on screen.
Yeah, he walks up. They find the lady dead, and then the husband is standing there, and he's just.
The way they do it to it, they like hold on his face, like, and it's like his crinkles are like like what's it called? It's like the symphony, like crinkling it up. No, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh gosh.
I would like to say the lighting's very good in this movie.
In the first one?
Yeah.
Yes, the first one. Yes, I agree with that.
It's pretty interesting. I think that we'll get into the second one, but I feel like John Krasinski definitely grew. He had better. I think he did better in the second one. Than
the
he did
first
in the
one,
first.
one of my biggest complaints too was that I found a lot of it looks really good, but there wasn't like really any camera movement going on, and like such an exciting movie, I felt like a lot of it kind of ended up looking static because of that. But yeah, in the second movie, that's definitely improved upon immediately.
Yeah,
like I remember, like within the first 5 minutes of the second one, I was like, oh wow, this is quite the improvement. Do we have any other thoughts on?
But real quick, I think not my last final thoughts is at least about the ending. I would say like I do like the idea of like like turning your weakness into power. But in terms of like I'm big on Ron knows this, like I'm really big on final shots because I feel like that's the way like the lasting impression you have with your audience. I think that final shot was terrible in that film.
What was it? I don't remember.
It was like it was a push in of her face going like. And it became it felt like a totally different tone where they're going for, right? Like it's all about the family and stuff like that. It's drama. Well, yeah, but that last shot, I was like, oh, so this that's.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it's implying that now they are no longer. They don't feel as weak anymore. They feel like they can take on the world now. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Right, but it doesn't fit the tone of the movie, right? Which it's just about family and like the eternal struggle together and stuff like that. And also the tone, right? Like that last shot was like more evocative, like a Die Hard movie, than like horror thriller. Yeah,
I was okay with it.
Let's go. Well, I mean, is there anything? Okay, so that's my last thoughts. Do you guys just want to get straight into Quiet Place Part 2?
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right. So Quiet Place Part 2. The synopsis is what's it called? Moments after the end of Quiet Place Part 1, Evelyn Abbott kills the monsters that kill her husband, Lee Abbott. And now with this new idea, a new weapon on how to kill these aliens, she decides to venture out with her kids to the far unknown, and where she meets her family friend, Emmett. And now we will see what takes place for them in this perilous journey together. What did you guys think of this movie?
Personally, I enjoyed it much more than the first film. The first film felt like just a kind of like a little bit predictable. Like it felt okay. Like the premise again was there and it was all right. But the second film, I feel like it expanded more and I liked it better. I like the characters better. I think John Krasinski is a better director when he's not on screen. I liked it more.
I liked it like a little bit more. I still have some problems with it that I'll obviously get into in a minute. But yeah, it's definitely a huge improvement on the filmmaking aspect of it, at the very least.
Yeah, I agree with Blake. I like it. It's definitely a better movie, but a lot of the same problems I had with the first one are still here. And there's a couple of new problems that I have. But overall, I think it looked really good. I think as much as I liked the opening, I thought that, it was probably the best part of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
but also like, was it necessary? I don't know.
I mean, fuck, it's so much better than
Yeah.
anything else. The first 15 minutes made me wish that was just the movie. That it was just a
Yeah, if we saw the
Yeah.
outbreak, that would have been cool.
Yeah, honestly, that's probably what I think they used. One of the scenes where they used the sound design the best. It's just like again, they immediately establish it's not a silent world, unlike the beginning of the first movie. It's kind of silent because most of the town isn't there, and it's like, okay, where's the rest of the town? And they imply everything through sound. Like he's walking by like a bar, and you hear like the sound of people. It draws you to like open your ears, which I really appreciated. I think the way that they shot it, like this kind of oneer, they do cheat it a few times, but I mean it's fine. Like those are like that's normal.
Yeah,
like
right.
yeah, we can't all be Alfonso Cuarón.
Yeah.
And even he does cheats, but whatever.
Yeah, but better cheats.
But I think it's just done really well. This one was shot by Polly Morgan, I guess, who's the cinematographer who did stuff like Legion, which is the only thing I've seen from hers. But man, Legion's a great looking show. So I think that's where that like extra.
Yeah,
it looks better. It looks really good.
That opening sequence was really great.
Really well done. Like it again pulls you in through sound again, and it, like as you see this town just explode as like just shit hits the fan.
Also, I'd like to point out, I thought John Krasinski was like miles better in like the 15 minutes he's in this movie than the entire previous movie, because like I don't know, he showed way more range in this, because I remember like in the last one I was kind of disappointed that he was mostly just serious man.
Yeah,
and,
he's intense look and focus like throughout most of the entire movie.
In the first 15 minutes of A Quiet Place 2, he's very like, I don't know, there's
more
range.
jovial, he's a little more sociable and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree with that. Best hand covering the mouth, acting I've ever seen.
I will say it was a little bit distracting. This is just a nitpick, so it's not like it didn't really take me out of the film that much. But the kids clearly looking like 5 years older.
Yes.
I know they weren't, but they just kind of aged a bit, and they kind of avoided showing the first kid who dies because it's a completely different kid.
But they were hiding his face the entire time. But then there's one shot where like it was a 360 revolving shot within the car.
Oh yeah,
it shows his face.
Yeah,
and then it was clearly distracting because it's not the same kid.
Yeah, it was a tiny nitpick, but like overall, again, that opening sequence, best part of the film.
Yeah.
Best part of the film. Yeah. I agree. What do you guys think? I mean, because he does use his flashback as like a prologue for this film. Do you guys think it was necessary, or do you guys think or did it add to the film? I mean, it is my favorite part.
You could say it's world building in a sense.
Yeah, I wish they just used it a little better. Like, I wish they set up Emmett, Cillian Murphy's character, a little more.
Yeah.
Like
about his kids. Like maybe it would be nice to see his kids die.
His wife.
I love to see kids
like
die.
it is a big part of his character. They show like later how much it's affected him like mentally and everything, and he's pretty much by himself, so you don't really have any of those connections.
And he clearly like saw Lee as someone to like aspire to be. That's like a big deal in this movie, but we really didn't get that from the opening. No. I wish like we saw the relationship a little more.
Yeah. Like literally, I think the whole point of the prologue, besides the fact that John wanted to be in the film, was also to set up the one plot point with like him learning the sign language dive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But then I liked it a lot. I honestly, I would have preferred the whole film in the prologue, to be honest.
Yeah,
because that's
agree.
when they're actually threats. These monsters. Yeah, like we'll get into a little bit later, but like once they kind of find out the weakness, I find them significantly less terrifying, in my opinion. At least the monsters and stuff like that.
I think that
this is so easy to beat.
I think that this movie is almost like taking it to a different genre, though. Well, the first one was more traditional, like horror thriller kind of movie. This one felt way more like an action adventure kind of movie. Like, especially when you have like Cillian Murphy and the girl like fucking, venturing out and shit, which I was okay with. I was like, okay, because we can't just do the first one again, obviously.
Yeah.
And I was worried they might, but I kind of want to get into a complaint if we're there yet. I don't know.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let's go on.
So, and I know Jason agrees with me. I feel like the fucking noise was allowed to be... I feel like they were allowed to be a lot louder this time around.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, holy shit. So the scene where the what's the little kid's name? The little boy?
Oh, which one? Are you talking about Marcus?
The one that's alive.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Marcus Abbott, played by, young Shia LaBeouf.
So
Marcus,
Marcus gets trapped in a bear trap and starts screaming at the top of his lungs.
Oh,
and Emily Blunt is like, you need to be quiet. I actually thought that maybe they were in some area that was no longer affected by them or something, and she hadn't realized it yet. Like, that was an actual thought in my head. I was like, okay, there's no monsters coming. Maybe, because
one does.
No, one does.
Yeah, but it takes...
Well,
it
to be
takes a while.
But to be fair, they killed like because it's like remember all the monsters like just came in that one meteor, right?
Yeah.
So I mean like and then they spread across the world. So they already killed 3 of the monsters in that area.
I know,
I guess there's
but
like less monsters.
Still, I think that it was a little jarring because, like in the first one, like they tip a fucking lantern over and like they're terrified.
Yeah.
So in this, I don't know. I actually because I remember I read the log line and it actually says they're gonna find that there are more threats than just the monsters. So I was thinking maybe they're in some kind of weird like town that is now ran by humans and the monsters aren't a problem or something.
Yeah.
But no, I guess it just took longer for the monster to come. But you agree with that, right, Jason? That the sound felt like they didn't have to be nearly as careful with their sound.
No.
Well, my problem with the sound in this movie was when it was focused. It was great.
Yeah.
But like there are multiple times where a character's doing something and I'm like, and they're doing it completely silent. And I'm just like, this should be making more noise than it is. But because the movie requires this action to happen and for no noise to be made, they're just doing that.
They can do a lot more in this movie than they could in the last
like-
one.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It goes into one of my complaints was the kids. They switched roles where the first time the boy was like super cautious and fairly smart. I mean, he does do a stupid thing at one point when he's running away from the monsters, and he just runs through the grass or through the corn, and it's like, why the fuck would you run through the corn? That's like the loudest place you could run. But in this case, in this movie, like the girl was actually the smarter character, which I was totally cool with. She kind of like wised up and like was kind of trying to copy her dad a bit more, and then the son just becomes an idiot most of the time, like again screaming at the top of his lungs. And I get it, like absolutely understand, like if a bear trap snaps on your leg, that's gonna hurt really fucking bad. But this kid's not an idiot, right? He knows what's gonna happen.
I disagree with you there. Bro, a bear trap fucking like clamped onto his leg and he's like a 10-year-old. Of course.
He looks like he's 14. Dude.
Oh my god. It's will take moments after the film, but then they grew up 5 years.
It's fine. I'm okay with it. I don't care. I disagree. I think that's an acceptable plot.
He does other things though, like when he's like just wandering around the warehouse. What are you doing?
Right,
you should be taking care
for
of
no
the
reason.
fucking baby.
He leaves
downstairs.
his baby brother or sister, whatever, like just down there with an oxygen mask on.
yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll be back for no reason.
Why is Shia LaBeouf so dumb? Like he's so dumb. Like it's so insane. It's like it's like what's it called? Like one like all he had to do was stay inside, right? Just close his little thing, listen to the radio, keep listening. He had one fucking job to keep listening and not let the baby die, right? But then, like, he didn't look at the oxygen tank, which was, like, almost empty. And he's like, oh, okay, baby, just, I need you to do this. And, like, let me go out and leave. And then when he hears a noise, I'm like, if you're scared, you probably just stay inside, right? But he decides to leave. It's like, as Blake would say, it's like a huge plot contrivance in this film. Where, like, they force these characters in these scenarios to purposely create tension.
Yeah.
Which,
I think there's more than enough tension with the bear trap on his leg. His mangled leg should be a big thing where it's like, oh my god, what are we gonna do now? The son, like his leg is fucked up. He's stuck in one place, which I feel like they kind of double dipped where it's like he was already stuck in one place. He's got to take care of the baby. His leg is fucked up and he's like stuck in this like metal, pit thing or whatever, like the furnace area. I think that's totally fine. There's plenty of tension to be had there. It's like you hear monsters moving around upstairs or whatever. But no, he has to actually go upstairs into the warehouse and then he finds a dead
skeleton.
body.
Yeah.
And he like falls over. He's all spooked by it. It's like, how many dead bodies and deaths
seen?
have you seen so far? Like, I don't know. But
I have a question about him in the first movie. Was he as like
he was
much of a baby?
No,
because they set him up in this movie like he's terrified of
He's a
everything.
pussy.
Like he's playing baseball in the beginning, and he's like can't even hold his bat properly, and he's like shaking at the plate. I'm like, why are you even playing baseball, bro?
Yeah,
like,
it's a new arc they decided to give him.
It's just like this kid's a fucking
That
coward.
didn't distract
And
me
then-
as much as you guys, I guess.
Yeah. it didn't distract you that the fact that it's his fault that the baby barely has oxygen. So and even though there's barely enough oxygen for the baby, he's like, oh fuck you, baby. Let me take some of this.
He
You know
did
what?
survive in that for a long
Yeah.
time.
Honestly,
Fuck
though,
that guy.
I did really like that scene where they're both they have to climb into like this giant furnace thing, and the latch closes. I think it's fine because he's panicking. The monster's like right there. It closes shut, so now he's trapped in there with the baby, and the oxygen's running low, and he's like switching on and off with the baby. And I was like, holy crap, is he gonna let this baby die? Like, is this baby gonna die right now? I'm like, they let a kid die in the last movie, maybe they'll I'm like, I don't know if they're gonna go that far, or at least this kid's gonna die, or maybe he's something. But that was I think that was one of the best tense moments in the movie, was when he was like dealing with the oxygen with the baby running low and stuff. But again, it didn't really need to be this thing where he's outside wandering around for some reason. It's like, your leg's fucked up, you shouldn't even be walking right now.
Yeah.
Like, well,
Shouldn't even be like able to walk.
yeah.
Just felt dumb.
And they try to make his character arc at the end that he suddenly grew up. And grew
Yeah, out
evolved.
of nowhere,
No.
too.
And the thing is, it's like, and they try to make it seem like such a big moment for him.
Mhm.
But it's not. He's just putting a radio. Anybody could do this. The baby could like put the radio on and kill the fucking monster. So it's like, and then they. Oh gosh. Oh my. I'll get into that later when we talk about the final like cutbacks.
Yeah, I have some issues with that as well.
Yeah.
I will say that there's a lot of stuff I did like this, because I did say I did like this movie more than the first one. I think the daughter's arc was totally good. I liked it where she's basically just trying to be like, okay, I pretty much got my dad killed in the last movie, so she's trying to like emulate him a little bit more and like taking control. And she's like, oh, there's people out there. We got to go out there. We got to like find, help them, and broadcast this signal to help people fight back and everything. I was totally cool with that.
I am also cool with that. This does lead me into one of my complaints, though.
Huh?
Did we need Cillian Murphy in this movie?
Yes.
Okay. Because this is going with what I was saying earlier. They just need to fucking commit to making the little girl the main character. Because why couldn't she just go off on her own? I get that, she's a child, but wouldn't that have made it ultimately more interesting? And this is not to say I didn't like Cillian Murphy. My favorite fucking scene in this whole movie is when they're going up against, like, the
Marine people,
pirates.
right?
Yeah.
Like, the way he gets out of that situation, I thought was super clever. The whole, like, he stabs the guy to make the guy scream, and then he signals the dive, and then he dives in the water to save his own life, but also, like, he essentially summons the monsters and uses them to get out of a situation. I thought that was fucking brilliant, and I liked his character. But I also think maybe it would have been better if the daughter just went out on her own. Like, or if Emily Blunt had gone with her or something. Why do we suddenly...
Yeah, Emily Blunt has nothing
Yeah.
to do
Yeah,
with
she has
this.
nothing.
She
I
goes
would've
to a
been-
store, and
To be honest,
that's
I would've
it.
been okay if she died.
It takes her an entire movie to go to a store and get oxygen.
She
No,
leaves
no,
her
I-
wedding ring on the cross. I thought
Yeah.
that was weird, right?
I
You
guess
died
it's
like
just
3
simple,
days
like,
ago,
move
bro.
on. No, that's super shady.
Like 2 days ago.
I'll be
Like,
pissed.
yeah.
I was like, if I was like, like John Krasinski was like, Bubby, bitch, please. Why did you say?
So maybe she could have taken the Cillian Murphy role. I just don't get why we had to have an extra character when we already have an arsenal of our main characters.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he really didn't need to be there. I think it could have easily just focused in on what was left of the family. Again, like the kids kind of empowering themselves. I was totally fine with that role. I think one of the main themes, it seemed like compared to the first movie where it was the parents have to protect the kids and they have to John Krasinski literally sacrifices himself for the kids. I liked them kind of focusing more on the children having to step up, and now they have to take control. Now they are a product of this world, and they're gonna basically protect their family now too. I was cool with that, and I think it would have been more powerful to see the girl go out on her own about this, because again, it's completely understandable. The family would have been like, no, don't go out there, like that's crazy, we found a safe spot, let's stay here, because that's what they'd been doing. But she's like, no, we have to do more, we have to go out,
fight back.
yeah, we have to fight back and step out of this. And I think that was really good. But yeah, I didn't really think, I enjoyed Cillian Murphy a lot. Like you said, I think he acted really well in this. I think he was his part was like pretty well executed, but not totally necessary.
I really liked him as well. But again, I wish he was set up a little better.
Yeah.
Like they went for like a redemption arc for him.
But there was
I guess
Did we-
his family died, and he was trying to redeem himself from that, I guess.
Did
But
we
I wish
see
there was
his
a
wife
little
at
more.
all?
No,
No.
we didn't see his
Okay,
wife at all.
because I was making sure I didn't miss something. Because it's funny, the first time we saw Cillian Murphy, I literally had the thought, "What's this guy have a dead wife or something?" That thought actually ran through my brain.
My thought when they started like running through the warehouse and stuff, and like this is where he's hiding, I was like, why the fuck would you hide in a warehouse? Probably like only second to like an auditorium, the most acoustic place on the
Right.
planet.
Uh-huh,
Like
uh-huh.
they're surrounded by giant metal cylinders. Like you bump into anything, it's gonna boom, like echo everywhere. I thought maybe they're gonna use this to their benefit. Maybe he is gonna finally throw something off screen and be like, oh, now they're gonna run over there. It's like, no, they're just running through
know,
the
it's-
giant metal warehouse where all the noises are amplified times 10.
Well, yeah, because they set it up like he had traps all around, and then
Yeah.
there were they hit the 2 traps that he has, and then that's
That were made for people,
Right.
Right, not nothing for the monsters. Like I think that would have been more interesting if
That
they.
bear trap would have really stopped
See,
one of the
and that's
demigorgons.
and that's what I assumed. Like either for like we're just talking about distracting the monsters, or maybe like if other stupid people hit the acoustic, or
Yeah.
he's in his underground bunker, he's like, he just watches him get wiped out.
Yeah,
I have to. This is a nitpick, but I'm going to say it. This series has just become the hilarious shouting series because when Cillian Murphy was "Get inside," it was super funny.
Oh my gosh!
By the way, what assholes! They basically destroyed that. Our
Yeah,
main
yeah,
characters are
yeah.
responsible for a
For the
town getting
murder.
fucked up.
yeah.
I have to save my family.
Oh yeah. Dude from Gladiator. I've
Jimon Honsu.
yeah. He was hit briefly.
Briefly.
kind
I
of
know,
a waste of his talent.
Yeah.
Such a waste. Like I was like when he was talking about like the boat, his boat backstory, where like
Yeah.
once the Navy, once what's it called the Navy, and once the National Guard figured out that they can't swim, they try to get everybody on boats. But then he said that like, but that's when like humans got greedy and they started pushing it. And there was 12 boats and only 2 boats went out, and I was on one of them. And then he just looked like he was tearing up, and I was like, oh wow, that's cool. I want to know more about that. Like if anything, I would have loved to seen that movie instead. Or whatever, or just seeing any of the like the first survival struggles and then trying to get to know it, because like when the monsters are actually threats. But yeah, and then he saw, and he seemed smart. Remember, he seemed smart. Like he was like driving over the car and stuff.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
he turns into an absolute moron.
Yeah,
Wait, I have to go back, and it's like, why?
Like, what if we lost it? Like,
yeah, and he specifically puts his leg out to like the opening in the thing. I was like, oh my god, how you fell from Gladiator.
I feel like the humans being a threat was a little wasted. I think it was like again a really cool idea. Like now this world is it's more dangerous than like just the monsters, right? Like that's even the log line. But the human threats are presented and then done away with like within the span of like 5 minutes, like
It
10
was the
minutes.
best scene
and
in
that was the
movie,
yeah, it
but-
definitely was the best part of the movie.
But yeah, they don't. I assumed we were gonna get into because of the log line, like you said. My prediction for this movie was okay. So they're gonna go to some town that's ran by like people that are taking advantage of the fact that-
Monsters.
yeah, kind of like I haven't really watched The Walking Dead, but I understand there's a character called the mayor or something.
governor.
The
governor.
and he's like taking advantage of the fact that they're in a post-apocalyptic world, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was kind of the route we were gonna go, but no, there's just some weird pirate guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
One
just
of them
show up.
yeah.
They're very greasy looking, and then they die. Which I think again was a really cool part of the movie.
And
I
I
liked
actually,
it.
yeah, that was the best part of the whole movie. I fucking
Actually,
loved it.
I love that sequence, but the beginning and how they got to there like annoyed the fuck out of me. Because like Emmett, like Cillian Murphy's character, like they established that he's actually supposedly smarter than other survivors. Like he's more wary, right? At least he's less trusting. I mean, fuck, he had the bear trap, and he was like, he did not go rush out to save like his family friends.
Yeah, he was
Right.
like, well, if they die, they die.
They died. Exactly. But then there's this little girl who's all weird and stuff like that. And like I said, his character hasn't developed that much. Like it's just been like half a day, and this little girl was weird, just like running around, looking down, super
She's
creepy.
crying.
Yeah, he's like, oh hey, he puts out all his guns, all his weapons to protect himself. You okay, little girl that I completely trust? And then, boah! Of course, it's like that was a weird. That seemed like a character breaking logic, kind of like they've been doing that lately. Like I don't know if have you guys played Last of Us Part 2 by any chance? Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, right? With Joel, suddenly he was a super smart character, and then he became super fucking dumb. And
I have
got
some
killed.
arguments against that, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I get what
so,
you're saying.
like, it's like the character consistency is kind of off in my opinion, and that's I guess one of my points is the previous film had like 2 writers, right? Like, and then he based the script off that. This is the first time I think that this is like, I mean, obviously it's adapted from like a previous, but it's his first one of his first wholly original scripts.
John Krasinski wrote.
Yeah,
this.
yeah, like
Okay.
by
It's
himself.
much better.
Do you guys think it's much better, or do you guys?
I
do you think
do.
do you guys think
I-
he succeeded?
I think
Yeah.
he did
par a
much
little
better.
bit.
I think this is it makes me more excited for the rest of his career. Like I'm like, okay, I kind of want to see what he's gonna do. Well, obviously I think they're making a third one.
Yeah.
And fuck it, I'll watch it. I don't care.
I don't know if he's gonna do it. He wasn't sure if he was gonna direct this one.
They're making a spinoff though with
Of course.
Jeff Nichols, the guy who did Take Shelter, Midnight, the
Okay.
Midnight, the one with the glowing blue eyeballs.
Yeah.
A Quiet
Yeah.
Place cinematic universe.
Yeah.
It's gonna link into Willy Wonka's origin story.
Honestly, fuck, I'll watch that just to see how it is.
I would love to see Willy Wonka in
People
this
say
world.
Willy
What the fuck's
Wonka
he
and
gonna do?
Snowpiercer take place in the same universe.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
anything about that. I haven't
I've
watched
seen
What?
Snowpiercer,
Okay.
so-
Yeah.
Because they both have W's.
Yeah.
William and well, anyway.
Let's not go down that
Yeah,
road.
let's not go there. Yeah, no, I think overall this movie better than the first, in my opinion. Opening sequence was my favorite part of the film. I think that was the best. Just in terms of how they utilize sound, just like the action and everything was just done really well. The one takes were, I think, actually like meaningful. And yeah, like I don't think it looked really dope, and it really drew you into the film. The rest of it, I think, was pretty well done. But
Yeah. I'm like 50-50. I think like some parts like he tightened up from the first film. Like he lessened like I had like a whole laundry list of like logical plot holes. I mean YMS had a great video on it where he just talks about he animates like their faces on the babies. And there's like, why is Emily Blunt going up the stairs when there's like, and who freaking puts the middle of like a nail in the middle of the board? Like it's like
yeah,
it's like, but this one like a lot less. You know what I mean?
It was a lot
less.
tighter of a script, and I'm imagining that's because it's less writers. And John Krasinski, I'm assuming, took more creative control. Like I said, I actually really I'm down with director Krasinski. Like fuck yeah! Like if this is the direction he wants to go, if he wants to make weird horror movies, I'm excited for it. And this makes me more excited. And I don't love this movie, by the way. I'd say the Quiet Place 1's a 5. This is a good solid 6. And that's a huge stepping stone for me.
I thought you didn't like ratings.
yeah, I know.
I don't. But
Hypocritical.
I don't like ratings, by the way. I hate them.
Yeah.
But
we're gonna rate this movie.
we're gonna rate this movie. I think I'm just trying to illustrate that is that it's a big step up.
Progression.
Yeah, it's a lot of progression from the last one. I just wish they would commit.
Sorry, real quick before we move on, can we talk about the actual ending?
I didn't
yeah,
like the
yeah.
ending this time, and I thought they were trying to kind of emulate.
It ends exactly the same way the first
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, they're trying
Exactly.
They're trying to emulate the last ending, but this time there's not really that emotional weight to back it up. Because last time, like I said, it's like this helpless little girl realizing that her weakness is in fact her power. This time it's like, oh, she discovered it again.
Yeah, I feel like that. It's just really milking the drama with both of them just slowly walking up to the monsters as they're like being affected. It's like you're within striking range. That monster could very easily just swipe at you and you're dead.
Yes.
Like they killed people so quickly before, and then now they're just like freaking out because of the sound. Which I don't know. Like I think any animal would either strike at that thing that's affecting them so much, but whatever. But it was just like it just kept going and going as she's like slowly walking towards the monster and like just building up the will, and it's like this just feels like it's just trying to be more dramatic than it actually
should
is. Yeah.
I actually don't even think that scene was like one. I don't think it was edited that well or shot that well or directed that well. And that's honestly, that's okay. I know you guys were talking about like John Krasinski. You guys are excited for his future. His future filmography and like how he'll do. Actually, this film kind of cemented me like I'm not excited for his next stuff because I think like he copies a lot from other filmmakers like the Spielberg Warner usually, particularly in the opening scene.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad Warner. Like I've seen really bad Warners or like he tries like with the digital masking and digital stitching of the thing for 2 different Warners. And I feel like part of the Warners that what Spielberg does is like one of my favorite Warners he does is in Jurassic Park, right? When he's going between the 2 Jeeps and deciding where to go in the location and he's arguing between like the kids and like the founder of the park, and before he's like, fine, I'll go with you guys to Jurassic Park, right? And there's a whole purpose there. There's a beginning, middle, and end. And this one, it is like I get the purpose, like he's trying to see the sounds and stuff like that. But then the ending was like he just walks into an alleyway, that wonder in the beginning where he's walking.
Yeah.
And that's a weird way to end the wonder, right? So you don't understand how to do these Spielberg Wonder properly. And the other one is if you want to digitally stitch two shots together, don't make it so obvious. Like, oh my god, when he opened the car and the car suddenly zoomed in, and then he was like, whoa. Like, why couldn't that just been one shot, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it was like special effects reason.
Yeah, that it does lead into like probably the biggest like effects heavy scenes where like that's when the big opening happens where the monsters are just all over the place and stuff, or like they're just like crashing through cars and shit.
Yeah. And also I think like when I don't know if it's because of the rating, when she stabbed the fucking monster's head, we could cuss, right? So I think we were cussing. Yeah. So,
I curse all the time.
Did you hear our opening?
I know. That's true. When she stabbed the head, it like honestly like I at this point like I felt no impact, right? Like did the pole even hit the head? I mean, I know it did.
Yeah,
It looked like she swung downward at it, but then when she pulls it out, it's like she stabbed it. It was strange.
Yeah, I'm like, it's a pole. It's not a sword.
Yeah.
If she would have like sliced into his head, like I don't know, it would have been better. Yeah, she just like actually stabbed him.
Yeah, I think there would have been a better way to like shoot that scene, like maybe like a close up of her holding, like the weapon she's about to do, right? Yeah. And like so, there's like it's just like these like basic things that I think like any filmmaker would know. He doesn't do them, and it's because like he's like I don't know if he comes from the J.J. Abrams of like I write shit or I'm part of this and I don't know shit about film, but then I'll be a director because I'm famous. I'm Jim from The Office School of filmmaking. It's very specific, but yeah, that's why for me I'm not excited to see it. So I feel like he'll just continue to copy films like he watched. Like I bet you he'll watch fucking Children of Men or Roma or he's like, oh, I could do that, but like my style, and then it'll be like dumbed down.
I think you're being a bit harsh on him.
I mean, we could look at it that way, or we could look at it as though he did get better with this movie.
I think he's showing progression. I feel like he's picking up some more skills. He's ambitious. I'll give him that. Like he's trying to do a little bit more.
And he's glad you're going to see his movie.
Yeah.
He's so glad. He's so glad.
Thank you so much for watching this in the theater. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
What he says,
because he
gets
gets like
quite like seeing a movie in the theater.
It's more like I get a gross box office, percentage, and the more you watch, the more money I get. So please go watch. Yeah.
To be fair, I do think like more people need to go back to the movie theater. Well, now it's understandable if you don't exactly want to go back until you're comfortable, but I really want movie theaters to still be around.
I think it's back. Like it is. It's like this film even at pandemic, it made more money than the first film opening weekend.
Oh no!
Oh really?
Yeah. It's like making like the first film opened up to like I think 40, 50. Now this one's like 60, 55. So there is some growth. I mean, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Quiet Place Cinematic Universe coming soon.
I will say one random thought that I had when she's like sleeping in outdoors, like in some I don't know, like radio tower thing or whatever. She wakes up. I thought, like, what if you fart in your sleep?
I thought about that.
I would be dead.
First one.
I'm like, dude, I'm pretty sure I fart in my sleep. Like, this is gonna just die farting. That would suck.
That's part of the nitpick column.
And does every single fart, you gotta like spread your cheeks, right?
Yeah.
For every single fart, you gotta squat or something to make sure just.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not loud. Yeah, Blake, you would be fucked in this universe.
I'm a very quiet person.
Your farts or
or snore.
Yeah, you'd be
I'd be absolutely fucked, dude.
Oh my god, yeah.
What is the weakness?
What is the weakness?
Do we have any final thoughts on A Quiet Place Part 2?
Yeah, pretty much what I said before. I'm excited for this. I think it was a step up. Maybe not excited, but I'm looking forward to see what he could do next. I think he should maybe step out of like horror action stuff. I understand that he apparently didn't want to do horror when he was offered the first film. So I don't know. Well, I'll see what he's doing next. I'll look forward to it.
Yeah, you should just stick to Jack Ryan.
I mean,
I think you're being harsh on him. I don't love this movie, but yeah, it was fine. I'm not mad that I spent like whatever amount of money to go see it.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was fine.
That's fine.
These movies feel like really safe. I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
But anyway.
Oh, real quick, I guess my last thing is a shout out to the sound editors and mixers, the true heroes of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Adal, I'm sorry, I butchered your name. Ethan van der Rijn and Brander Proctor, the sound editors and the dubbing mixers for these films. Yeah. You guys are the true champ.
Good
Fuck
job.
you, John Krasinski.
Good job.
Do we have our what's our rating system? Shit bucket.
Yeah, it's
shit bucket on a shelf or preserved in a museum.
Or like or preserved in the museum or in a museum.
In a museum, shit bucket, or on the shelf. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna put it on the shelf. I'd say it.
Oh no, in the bargain bin.
I think
Bargain bin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bargain bin.
this is a tiny step above bargain bin.
I'd rent it on Amazon.
I'd say I would pay for the DVD. That's my rating.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy this movie. I liked it, but I don't think I would want to spend any more money.
I definitely wouldn't buy the Blu-ray, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a bargain bin for me.
Not the
I
shit
liked it,
bucket though.
yeah.
Definitely not the shit bucket.
No, not that bad at all.
No. It's like it looks too good. Like I don't want to do Polly Morgan disjustice. You know, true. Her and the sound editor is a true MVP. Yeah, fucking John. I'm just
God, why is your fucking vendetta
Philip's
against
going after John Krasinski.
because
your
he
vendetta?
took Emily Blunt from us. You know what I mean? Fucking
What is
bastard.
your vendetta against Jim from The Office, man? I hope he puts your stuff in jail.
Yeah, he probably put his calculator in Jello.
I know that's why I hate him too much. You
You'll
know what I
never
mean?
forgive him.
And then it's like I was Pam was my first crush. He took Pam. After that, there was like Rashida Jones. He took Rashida Jones, and now he took Emily Blunt.
Man,
Son
you've
of a
lost
bitch.
so much of these women that you would never even be able to talk to. You really had a chance there in the first place.
I knew them mentally.
Before we move on, I would like to mention how I had maybe one of the worst theater experiences of my life, though.
Yeah.
So, I went and saw this movie last night. And I actually remember when the first one came out, a lot of people were very sound conscious. This is a very, these are obviously very sound driven movies. And I saw the first one at Harkins, and I remember like a team member came out and actually said, "Hey everyone, we just want to tell everyone, can we please be respectful during this movie and be kind of quiet? This movie has a lot of real quiet scenes where the sound is kind of dominant. So can we, try to keep it down?"
That's nice.
Well, I fucking wish someone had came out and said that about this movie, because let me tell you, there were 6 people behind me, and they shouldn't have been, by the way, that they do the, every other row now at movie theaters as a COVID precaution, which is obviously making it safer. And then I think they do like 2 seats, then like 3 seats are empty, 2 seats.
Yeah.
But anyway, so some people snuck in, clearly. It was like 6 people, and they sat behind us. And the whole theater probably wanted to murder them because they were having full-on conversations the entire movie, and they were eating chips, and like I don't even know how they could possibly eat chips this loud. So I'm like trying to like be quiet eating my popcorn, especially during a movie. I'm always theater conscious when I'm in a movie theater. No matter the movie, I'm always trying to like, oh man, am I eating this popcorn too loud? Am I picking up my soda? Sometimes you accidentally drop something, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, these people were I'm chomping away on chips. I don't know how they ate chips the entire runtime of this movie, but somehow it happened. They were talking. There was like one of them the whole time was like, "Hey bro, pass the chips, bro." One of them was making like a sound, like a occasion, like literally fucking making that sound.
How are you not in prison right now for murder?
Because I don't want to go to jail over a John Krasinski movie. The guy to the left
But
of me,
in all honesty, you could have gone out there and told someone, like, hey.
but I didn't want to miss part of the movie though.
Or you
either.
could just like go behind the shut the fuck up.
I just didn't want to be that guy. I guess the guy there was a couple too.
I'll be that guy.
Yeah.
Philip has no problem being that guy.
Yeah, we should mention that Philip at the movie theater will go up to people and tell them to silence their phones and stop texting. Oh, that were fucking using their flashlight on their phone too.
Oh yeah, I hate
They were using their flashlight. They were eating chips. They were passing shit. One of them dropped their popcorn bucket at a certain point. They were talking. They were texting. There was a couple to like the far left of me on the other side of the row, and like I took a look and I was like, man, this guy's about to go to prison, because I could see he was like, you could tell he's been looking forward to this movie and he's not too pleased with these people. I should also mention someone brought in a fucking baby to this movie.
Gosh.
And the baby was less loud than the people behind us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really fucking irritating. Like during the scene where Cillian Murphy is like scoping them, like literally one of them was like, "Why doesn't he just shoot them?" Or like there was a part where like I think they're fucking with the monsters. They're like, "She should be careful," and it's like, dude, shut up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should have said something, but I didn't. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, probably, or at least just like talk to an usher or whatever. I think that like COVID has unfortunately like some people just don't know how to act in movie theaters anymore.
Some people never
or in
know.
public in general.
Yeah, like I mean, I've like some people. Yes, there's always people in movie theaters. When you go to to watch a movie in the movie theater, there's gonna be people who are just always loud or just completely inconsiderate of other people. But I don't know. I've watched a few movies now in the theater, and almost everyone. But especially in this movie, maybe again because I was just extra sound cautious. But like there was an entire family, like sitting next to me, like 3 kids, a husband and a wife, and the kids were just like crawling over the seats, like chattering a little bit, just like whispering and shit, getting up, going outside.
That sounds like heaven compared to what I have.
I know that doesn't sound nearly as bad as what you're doing, but it's like people have just like fucking forgotten what it means to go to the movies, to like shut the fuck up and watch the movie.
Some people have never known what it's like. I remember when I saw Mother in 2017, like there was like these 2 dudes like having a conversation, like at full length, like as loud as we are right now. And I was like, you pay attention, Javier Bardem is speaking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was really irritating, and I wanted to bring it up. So, if you were at fucking the Regal in Ontario on 1 second, what's the date today? If you were at the showing of A Quiet Place at the Regal in Ontario on Friday, May 28th, 2021, and you were talking the entire time and you were in the back row, fuck you.
Oh,
the
now
whole
you say it.
theater hates you.
The entire theater.
Yeah, no.
Theater.
Theater.
What did you say? Homage?
I only wish the worst 7 plagues.
I wish Philip was with me.
Oh yeah, no. There's one time we were at Parasite, and at the beginning, someone had his big fucking ass, like I don't know, it's like Nintendo Switch or whatever. He was playing the game instead of watching the thing, and I was like, and I didn't like. I probably should have been nicer, but I like smacked him on the back. Like,
damn.
I was like, "Are you gonna play this entire fucking time?" And this guy looked at me like he wanted to like fuck with me, right? But then like I just like put my hand on his shoulder, and then he was like, "Okay," and he probably just left. He didn't seem scared, but he probably like.
See, I'm not confrontational like that. So.
I hate it because like for me, it's like for when I'm in the film. It's like my escape from like this like the world. It's like 2 hour escapism. It's the one and only time where I don't have to think about bullshit outside, and I want to be completely immersed in the experience. John Krasinski, as much as I don't like the guy, they took Emily Blunt, Rashida Jones, and Pam for me. Like he didn't create this experience to have like a bunch of assholes eating chipmunks or something like, and then people have
families just chattering and shit.
Yeah.
But did you die?
Gosh.
I don't know. I was fine. There was like 2 other people in my screening, so I was. It was perfect.
Like 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll have to do.
Yeah, it's the best time to go.
Also, Dolby and IMAX. Usually, people in there they don't like.
Oh, because they're paying extra.
Yeah, they're paying extra.
Those people actually want to see a movie and they want that full experience.
Yeah.
So if you go to like. Yeah,
you got to go to like the art house theaters. Nobody's in
art house theaters. Yeah.
Nobody's.
That's why I like the ArcLight
because the
ArcLight was
filled with Phillips and
really
really kill you.
I'm just gonna take Philip with me to every show.
Yeah. Oh, Dunkirk was great. Everyone was like, shh, silent. Oh.
Yeah, because again, those people that like love film, and the reason that they're there watching fucking Dunkirk at like the ArcLight is because they're like they take this shit more seriously. Which again, you're not gonna. It's a movie. I understand some people just go because they just want to be outside of the house for like 2 hours and.
You could do anything else though.
Yeah, do something else. Or if you're going to the movie and you really want to just get out, then shouldn't you also appreciate like shutting the fuck up and trying to immerse yourself in this world that's like
escapism,
or also just basic decency. You know what I mean? Just like other people around you,
just, like
courteous of
do you
other
guys
people.
not realize you're fucking up everyone's night right now?
Yeah. I think that's why I usually try to watch. I usually try to watch the film by myself before I watch it with you guys, so that you guys don't have to go to the usher. But also, I don't want to miss the film. So that like when they're like doing that, like I could walk around the theater just like to tell people.
Bro, when I'm sipping my soda, I'm worried like, oh man, is like the ice moving gonna like make a noise? And some people just don't care.
Again, watching A Quiet Place Part 2, there was somebody like opening like a bag of candy or something, but I was okay with that because I get it. You're at the movie theater, you're gonna be snacking and stuff, but also you could hear them trying to open it quietly. Like
just get it done, dude. Just get it
just
done.
Like opening it, and it's like I get it. I've been there.
Well, fuck
the worst.
That guy's like fucking Jesus motherfucking Christ compared to these assholes behind me.
Yeah. Like he was trying to be. They were
making sounds.
Oh,
yeah.
What are you fucking doing?
That's just again, they're just like trying to just trigger people. They're just trolling pretty much.
I almost called the police.
He probably had a nail going through his head or something, and then he was missing a couple of like neurons.
I just don't
Dropped his
understand.
baby or something.
Okay, like I just don't understand. Did they not know what they were doing?
Yeah.
They
No,
probably just didn't care. They were probably just
totally-
teenagers just being assholes.
Yeah.
Oh, me versus teenagers at the theater. Oh, I sometimes get off on it. Like I just like just
So do
get
they.
through
That's the
it.
problem.
Yeah.
They're just toxic as fuck. If you're between the age of 13 and 22, you're probably just toxic and you just don't even realize it.
I don't know. I feel like because I remember thinking like, okay, this isn't acceptable. If it's acceptable up to the age of 16, by the time you're 18 years old, you understand how a fucking movie theater functions. You don't talk. And look, I'm lenient. I'm okay if I turn to Jason and whisper like, "Hey man, that was pretty funny, right?" Like that's totally fine with me.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, I still don't think you should do it, but it's okay. But if you are having a conversation, why are you here? Go to a coffee shop. Go to a bar. Go to a
Yeah.
restaurant.
Or just die. Honestly, honestly,
It's just really irritating.
Your brain doesn't
Especially
fully
during a
develop.
movie called A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
So, would you guys
Read the
pay
room.
extra to go to a movie that you had to get approved to go to?
Yes.
Say that there was like a special showing where you had to get approved and you had to follow a bunch of rules and stuff, and it's like only for like serious movie viewers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's part of like
Yeah.
going
I'll
to
send
like
in my
the
application
ArcLight or-
right now.
Or going to those like premium movie theaters. Again,
Yeah.
it's like people who are willing to pay a little bit more.
I would pay $3 extra if there was like a security guard that was constantly scanning the room looking for people texting and like
Oh,
talking.
yeah. Oh, I hate that. I hate when people, you know this,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's it called? It's like when I don't want to see, like, I want to see the fucking film and the images on the fucking screen. I didn't pay to see your giant light bulb in your hand going, yeah, let me see it. Let me see your text message, your Tinder profile, all the different, like, dudes you blew over the weekend. Like, it's just, oh, gosh.
Yeah, when I went to see The Shining in theaters at Harkins,
Oh, my gosh.
there was the scene where he's riding his tricycle and then he sees the two twins and some fucking asshole just took a picture with the flash on of that moment, and I fucking lost it. I was like, "Are you kidding me, dude?" Like one of the best parts of the movie. It's so tense and like it's great, and then he just absolutely ruined it so he could like show people on Instagram that he watched The Shining in theaters.
Yeah, it's irritating. I would pay more to be at like a theater where you fucking have to pass like an intelligence test to get into something.
Just, are you an asshole? No. Okay, cool. You're
Do you
fine.
understand that movies are supposed to be immersive?
After a perilous talk about Quiet Place Part 1, how John Krasinski stole all my lovely ladies, Quiet Place Part 2, and also how, teenagers in movie theaters should die. We have a quick word from our sponsor.
And now we're going to discuss A Man Escaped, a movie, of course, recommended by Philip. So, I guess, Philippe, you may do the honors of introducing this film.
Jean-Philippe.
This film is called A Man Escaped, or alternate title is The Man Escaped, or The Wind Bloweth Where It Listeth.
I like that title better, actually.
It actually does fit like the nature of the film.
I like that title a lot better, personally.
And the French title is Un commande à mort, c'est échoppe ou le vent souffle ou vous.
I'm
I
almost
apologize.
confident that was not
What's
the
it
right
called?
pronunciation.
My accent's not the best. I tried my best not to pronounce. I'm sorry, my French teacher from college and stuff.
I'm sure she's listening.
I said vous. Well, so please give me some extra stickers for that.
I'm sure she's listening.
You got
to this.
stickers in college?
Yeah, I got stickers in college for French class.
Little smiley faces.
This is This is based on the memoirs of André Deville, who is a member of the French. I also apologize to the dead guy if I didn't say your name right. But he was a member of the French Resistance who was imprisoned in the Montluc prison during World War II by Germany. And he eventually escaped and was super inspirational. Robert Bresson, the director of the film, himself was imprisoned by the Germans, and he was a member of the French Resistance. Yeah. And he was just kind of like, he probably made this film as a fantasy. He's like, yeah, what I wish I've done. You know what I mean? The synopsis of the film is where it's basically about a man named Fontaine, who's a French man who was imprisoned at the start of the film, and he's in this German prison, and he's basically just trying to, throughout the film, think of different ways to escape. and he's carefully, meticulously planning on his plan to leave before his planned execution.
So if you haven't watched this movie yet, we highly recommend it. It's one of those films that's like always on those top of best films of all time lists. It really is really good. So go give it a watch and then maybe come back and listen to this because we're about to spoil the shit out of it.
It is really that good, quote unquote. Ronald Mendez.
Yeah. All right.
Got a
So
real Roger Ebert here.
Overall, what did you guys think of the film? And what was your favorite moments, I guess?
Favorite moments. I actually really liked the scenes of him just fucking with the door, especially in the beginning. I think we're gonna get into like themes and what makes it so great in a bit, but yeah, man, that was real tense when he's just got the spoon and he's messing with the door. Specifically, the first time he does it, I think that's honestly the standout moment of the entire movie for me.
I would say probably my favorite moment was when he's climbed down the wall and he's waiting for that perfect moment to strike to kill the guard. He's like just standing there listening, and again it's so focused on the audio because you hear the footsteps as this man is like walking on the gravel. You can hear him going further away, coming closer and closer and closer, and then the train passes by, and that's great.
Yes. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with Blake. Was the door, or even when he like gets out through the door the first time, I was just like, bro, like you could be caught. It was so tense, and then he's just like walking around and he's like looking around, and like he goes to his friend's like cell. He's like, bro, I'm out, and I'm like, cool. Like it was that was fun, like because that was when like his efforts are finally being like realized. Like he's finally like, okay, he's making progress now. And that's the thing that this movie does well is like little increments of progression. It's a very slow burn, but every so often you'll get a little moment of like victory, and it moves him up just a little bit further to achieving his goal. And I think it does that really well.
Yeah, I really love this film. I watched this film like probably right when I got out of high school, and I haven't seen it since. So it was good to watch it again. It's definitely one of my favorite films, especially when it comes to diegetic, non-diegetic sounds. My favorite moment, I think I have two. One which is in the beginning, where where he's caught. He's thinking about escaping, and once he hears the train, like that's when he leaves the car, but just holds on the other passenger in the car. He was just waiting. You were like, "Oh, did he escape?" But then, since the camera's just still, you're like, "He's probably not." And you just hear the off-screen sounds of him running around like many cartoons. I'm just kidding, that doesn't happen. but then he comes back, and the shot just continues. That's how you do a wonder, John Krasinski. What's it called? So yeah, or the near the end when they actually make the escape, where I think the character's name was
Fontaine?
Jos, like Fontaine with Jos, like the younger guy.
Jos.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Teenager.
He was like, and then like the scene where, what's it called? They're without the shoes and they're walking on the pebbles, and they have to be very quiet and they're going back and forth, and they're like, they have to stop once they notice that their sounds will probably get them caught, but once the train goes, then they continue and stuff like that. This film's amazing. I was like, oh gosh, like. If he was alive, I would want Bresson to impregnate my sister or impregnate me if I could give birth. You know what I mean? He's just great. I wanted to continue his legacy. It's just great. I was like, why are you dead? You know what I mean? Why are there John Krasinski's in the world? And why is there more Bressons?
How is this how you choose to word your sentences? Thank God. What is your beef with John fucking Krasinski, bro? I swear to God, they're going to have an interview with you and it's going to be like, Philip Jang-Soo Lee, critic of John Krasinski. That's going to be your title.
He took, the day he takes Anya Taylor-Joy, that's just, what's it called? But yeah, no, I think this guy, it's insane that even in the 60s, where I feel like
50s.
Or 50s, no, 1956, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
7? I don't know.
56.
But then, like, when the film came out, like, till this day, I don't think any film has replicated to, like, the effectiveness of, like, non-diegetic sounds in this. By the way, we'll be using some terms, I think, film sound art from Michael Chiffon or something. What's it called? I apologize to my German film professor, Mr. German from UCLA, if I got that wrong.
What language classes did you have?
I know that's your favorite book of all time. I apologize. Definitely good recommend. I think it's the definitive book on film sound. Diegetic. So there's just a real quick. So for viewers who don't know
Help
these
to
terms.
understand the film language here.
Yeah. Diegetic sounds are sounds that exist within the world that film established, right? And non-diegetic sounds are usually like music or film score that's not from the world. It's and even within the circle, there's two different zones: the visual zone and the acousmatic zone. Acousmatic zones are off-screen diegetic sounds and film score sounds, and the visual zone is the on-screen diegetic sounds. So when we kind of talk about this and I say these terms, don't get lost. If you do and you're like, oh, fuck the nerd shit, then okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Okay.
I think this film, it's as it's very often referred to as like one of the best uses of just diegetic sound, like just having to again draws you in immediately. I think even with that first opening scene with the car ride, it doesn't cut away. You have to listen to what's happening. You hear him running. You hear him like kind of running away, and you hear other people running after him, and then like you hear him pretty much getting beat and then dragged back to the car. So it immediately sets that up for you, which is cool. And then just again, like I think one thing I just really liked too, just harkening back to what I liked about it so much is just those little victories, like Jason said, those like little things that he gets where he's like, all right, he's able to like sharpen his spoon into like kind of a little blade, and he's like, that made me feel good.
Yeah.
It's him keeping his hope, and him being placed next to another prisoner who was trying to kill himself before what's the main character's name?
Fontaine.
Before Fontaine comes, he's like, I was literally about to kill myself, and then you showed up, and he knocked on the wall just to signal that someone else was there. And he slowly wins him over. Like he's like, you have to keep going, man. There's something else here. There has to be hope to like get out of here at some point. And he's like, hope for what? But like he basically wins him over, and that's just really cool. Like those little victories just add up and help build like the
Yeah,
cool story.
I feel like sound definitely is so this is an incredibly tense movie. It's like I said, it's a fucking guy who's literally chipping away at a door, and it's like the most intense thing I've seen in years. And it's because of the use of sound. Like you're kind of conscious of the sound of the door. You're conscious of like the footsteps of the guards. That's a huge thing in this movie. There is almost no on-screen action. It's all off-screen and it's implied, and it definitely creates this atmosphere that's just like holy fucking shit.
Yeah, and the attention to detail, like when he's whittling away at the door, and then like all the little shavings that like pop out underneath the door, and he has to figure out a way to get all those shavings back in so that the guards don't see it. Like that is a level of detail that is rare in movies today. But doing it in 1956 is like pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they're afraid a lot of times to do that because they think that'll bore the audience or something.
No,
Like,
it's
they
so
have the authority.
fucking cool,
and I
dude.
think it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, like this has like a lot of balls to it.
We should also point out this is essentially a Philip, you're gonna know the term more than me. Is it bottle episode kind of movie?
Yeah, like a bottleneck
it's
film or
it's
something
yeah,
like
it's
that,
like
where
a
one
bottle,
location, yeah.
where most of the movie takes place in a single room. In this case, a prison cell, and yeah, it doesn't get boring. There's so much going on, and they really make it work on both. The sound design is obviously kind of the star here, but also I thought like visually, it's pretty diverse for a movie that takes place in a fucking prison cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like another moment that I enjoyed is like we're just talking about the sound moments is like or just little details is when he first kind of gets out of his cell and he's walking around, and then he climbs up onto like where the skylight is where he's gonna make his eventual escape. He like puts his arm at one point on the glass and you hear it like crack, and it's like oh fuck, like immediately you just tighten up because it's like if it shatters at any point. And then it comes back again because they escape through that same point. And the whole time I'm just eyeballing that glass, like, don't shatter. Don't break. Yeah. Like, if it breaks, you're fucked.
There's a lot of little setups and payoffs like that in this movie.
Yeah. This one has like a great like palindrome effect to it. It's like everything in the beginning, like the wood, the hook, the lanterns, or even like his dealings with like Joss and stuff like that, all comes back at the end, like in exact same patterns, and all his voiceovers like all kind of pay off in dividends in the end. Like he talks about like the guards and their patterns and what's called and how they look every now and then. They have repeated like almost like not monochromatic, robotic movements, and they have specific patterns. And then that comes up at the end when when you're talking about your favorite moment where he has to hang down and he has to
kill the guard.
Yeah,
because he's counting on him moving exactly as he's expecting him to. I really enjoyed the character of Jost. like him being introduced there, that just added like it's like he's in there at the cell at first, completely by himself. He's like obviously going through this plan very meticulously, and then surprise, now there's a new guy in his cell that he's sharing it with, and he has to figure out, okay, am I gonna kill this guy or are we escaping together? And it's even more complicated because he's a kid. He's like just like some 16-year-old kid who's now stuck in there, and he has to figure out like, does this guy have what it takes to get out of here, or is he gonna like flake and ruin everything? And I don't really know until like pretty much the moment when they're escaping. It's like he could kill him, who knows? And that was great, like a whole other level of tension.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think Jost shows up at the exact right time
Yeah,
because
when he has a knife.
it was
Starting
yeah,
to get bored.
Yeah, starting to just
that's also when
crawl a little
his
bit.
case. He lost his case. He's
Yeah.
sentenced for execution.
Oh
yeah. And then
Yeah.
and then Jost comes. Like he has to leave, and then Jost comes. He's like, oh fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, because I agree. For that, I'd say there's a 5-minute point there where I was kind of like, okay, he's been fucking with the store and making like instruments for like an hour now. And then that kid shows up and it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
It's the perfect like foil to his plan. I do have one small criticism of this movie.
Just kidding.
I do have one small criticism of this movie, and not to say I don't like it, but I do think the monologue was a little overdone. I think it could have been more interesting if it was more silent, and a lot of it was just him doing things. There's a lot of scenes where he's like chipping away at the door, and his monologue is just, I chipped away at the door. And it's like, I could have just seen that. I didn't need to be told that.
See, I could kind of see that, but then like, that doesn't bother me because I think they framed it as like, you already know he escaped because it's in the title, a man escaped.
Yeah.
Right, and this is actually just him reflecting back on like how he did it and the different things. As well as he was like, maybe like telling his stories for future generations of like like prisoners or like POWs and stuff and how to do it themselves. That's why I guess it didn't bother me as much, but I do see where you're coming from. Like I do notice.
It took me out a couple times where he'd be like, and then I created a hook, and then I walked out of the door, and then I decided to do this. I'm not saying it's all bad. I just think there were certain moments where I was like, I didn't need the monologue in that exact moment, and I think it could have been a little more interesting too. This is obviously a movie that's very concerned with sound. That's why we're talking about it. But I don't know. I think it could have been more interesting if we were just focused on like silence and sound.
I think that's fair. I don't know if the title really did work for me in that case, like where it's kind of like it does kind of undermine a bit of the tension because you do know that he escapes. Like I thought maybe he would possibly die once he does escape or something like that would happen where technically he gets out but he dies anyways. But like if maybe the alternate title of The Wind Blows Where It Wants, like that's a little bit more
Excuse
open.
me, it's the windeth bloweth where it wants.
Where it could basically be a little bit more open to like interpretation, so you don't exactly know probably how it's going to end. Like that maybe would have been.
I wasn't sure if the kid was going to
different.
make it.
I don't know.
But they did.
Oh
they
yeah,
did
no, I
say.
was half expecting the kid to die.
I thought the
I
kid
was
was
more
gonna
tense
die.
with the kid. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
more tense with the kid.
I thought that's why they introduced him. I'm like, oh, so he's gonna die.
Well, I had like a thought once the kid was in on the plan. I was like, okay, I think either the kid's gonna die or the kid's gonna be the man that escapes.
Oh,
I had that kind of
that
thought
could
in
be
my
good.
head.
Yeah. And then he's Andrew Davigny or something like that. I mean, I knew somebody was gonna escape because obviously the title. And even during the opening credits, they were like based on Andrew Davigny, the guy who escapes. Like, But yeah, I can see where this is going. I mean, also I thought he probably made it up because like the way they were doing it sounded like he was just remembering.
Yeah. But also like there have been a lot of movies that have narration where characters die anyways. So I was like, they could go that route, and there's nothing wrong with that route. Whatever. Route or route. It's
Route.
both. It could be either one.
Route.
Either or. You say ketchup.
Yeah, it's fucking ketchup. I don't understand.
ketchup.
Is this a fucking war crime?
All right, I'm not gonna argue with
I only
this.
excuse that if you're like my Korean mom goes kachapu.
I say ketchup. It's not that big of a fucking deal. I'm not a goddamn fucking.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, I think that they could have gone the route of like having him just died or whatever, and just having a voiceover of a character that was dead, because that would have been totally fine too. But I don't know. The title did undermine that a little bit, but honestly, the movie was good enough. Like, I mean, it was more than just good enough. It draws you in so much that it really didn't bother me that much. It's
I do have to say,
tiny.
oh man, we've been talking a lot about unearned endings. That hug at the end felt so earned.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh
It was
yeah.
like-
Because like you're in this struggle together. You're like, brother, we did it. You know what I mean?
We're alive. Like, yeah, that fucking hug, dude. Because we've been talking about a lot of payoffs that haven't. I remember last week, like, every Zack Snyder movie, it's like, well, that didn't feel earned. That didn't
Yeah.
feel earned.
Or John Krasinski's
That-
Quiet Place
oh,
too.
what is your fucking beef with John Krasinski?
John
Wannabe director.
Find you.
He's fine. I'm very excited for whatever he chooses to do next. And I'm gonna make you watch it and talk about it on this show.
He's remaking A Man Escaped.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. If he does. Oh.
What's your fucking beef with John
A
Krasinski?
bunch of winners. No, I think another going back to the little details. I like when they throw the hook over the that huge wall, the two ledges, right? And it just catches like a little wire on the other side. It's like, and they're pulling it. I'm like, is that gonna snap? Is it gonna like? Are they
Yeah.
gonna fall down even more? Like again, just more tension on tension. Where it's like this is already a tense moment, and they could have just banked on the fact that they're trying to crawl over this big ditch. Like that's tense enough, but like no, they just added a little bit extra that just makes it even better.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
should be like shown in like I think like not even just filmmaking classes, but writing classes about how to build tensity. Because
Yeah.
this whole movie is like a heart attack. Like it's just
Oh yeah.
you're constantly fucking like, oh my god, what is gonna happen here?
Yeah, I think this is like one of the best bottleneck filmmaking ever, and also one of the best I think character. POV
Excuse me,
films.
Buried.
Yeah. I have thought about that.
That was a joke. I don't like that movie.
What's it called? I like character POV film. Like this character, like this film, like both in its writing, its narrative, like its front, and also even its cinematography, like the framing and stuff. Like, everything is reflecting his perspective and his character thing. Like the fact that to be fair, also at the time that aspect ratio was pretty much the norm, but it works in this case.
Mhm.
I know they might have introduced. I think a couple years later they introduced it in like Lawrence Arabia, like widescreen or Cinevision or something like that. But that aspect ratio helps make it feel everything more confined.
Yeah.
Most of
Yeah,
the shots,
the whole movie
Yes.
feels like so claustrophobic.
exactly.
Yeah.
Most of it's close-ups.
Is
And
there even like
there's almost
any establishing shots
There's
in this
almost
movie?
there's almost
No.
none.
I think there's
Oh, yeah.
one where he goes to like get his sentencing.
Yeah, and that's
but
it.
other than that, like
It's pretty much just like you see exactly what he sees, which is cool. Like him seeing like through the window cell, like you see the people walking back and forth. Like again, you don't get that shot outside that shows the full prison because he has no idea what the full prison is like, and that's like a big part of the narrative. Is like he doesn't know. Like he's like I know I can get out through here, and then what's beyond that, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to figure it out on the fly. So like I'm just
And-
making extra rope just in case. Like I don't
and
know.
you're figuring it out along with him the
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
time.
Yeah, the fucking way they shoot him. Sorry, the way they shoot him through the window, and then it kind of like zooms in on it, and it's just like, yeah. You have no idea. You get like a cell and like a hallway, and then basically when he's outside, it's like the first time you're kind of seeing certain parts of the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed a lot of the lighting in this film
Yes.
too. Like there's again going back to the scene with the prison guard, and while he's trying to figure out like how to kill him, and he's just watching him. They have like he's just peeking over the ledge, and the light is just like going over, so you just see his eyes as he's like watching, and then the little spotlight that's where the prison guard is walking in and out of the shadows. And they make a point to say that this is an especially dark night. He's leaving on I think a new moon where there's basically no moonlight, and the guard is just like sitting in this little just island of light surrounded by like darkness, like just smoking a cigarette, and it was just I don't know, it's just a gorgeous shot. That was like probably my favorite shot in the movie.
Yeah, I wish I could get like a poster of that, like that poster of that frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
that was my favorite shot for sure.
I know. If only just John Krasinski watched this
Oh
movie. How do I make my film look better? You know what I mean? How do I not make my cinematography job harder? You know what I mean?
We should also mention this movie, of course, has a shit bucket.
It has
That's
many
Like
shit
it's many
buckets.
shit buckets.
And it's a
And
big part of the movie.
Yeah,
too.
it's a big like the movie's told in like kind of like a cycle, right? Like
Yeah.
he's in his cell, and then they let him out to relieve his shit bucket, and then he's talking with his friends who are like, dude, you got to get out of here, you're gonna die. And then it goes
Yeah.
back to his cell, and then back to the shit bucket, back to his cell. And it was cool. It never got boring. I feel like it could have easily gotten boring,
Oh,
but
no.
it works real well.
Yeah, and,
I found I'm gonna be crucified for this. I found the first. Okay, so I liked his first escape attempt. I found the next 10 minutes kind of boring. Like
Oh.
I know.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, you are gonna get crucified.
Hey. The second
Hey,
that he
hey,
gets the
hey.
spoon,
Sound like a real John Krasinski.
this the second that he gets his spoon, it picked up for me. But there was like a 5-minute window where I was kind of like I wasn't sure.
I think it was, I don't know. For me, it was just like they're, again, establishing the film. You're just kind of seeing stuff that's through his eyes. So I think it was fine.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a terrible sin against the movie. I'm just saying there was a 5-minute window where I was bored.
As I hear
And
the
I'm a
pitchforks
sure- I know,
coming
I
down,
know,
dun,
I
dun, dun,
I'll give you my
dun.
email address. You can tell me your problems with me.
Let's go. Let's go. I can see where you're going. Like honestly, like look, if you didn't know, like let's just you're going to this blind. You're right. You don't know much about it, and you didn't know that like this film, because it's like just like the main character is super meticulous. Like I'm talking about every single fucking detail, like where it shows like every single individual board getting chopped, or every single like like how many times he gets the pillow and take out take out the stuffing inside, or the blankets getting ripped. Like there's a lot of repeating shots, but on purpose, right, to kind of reflect this thing. But then like for a passive viewer who doesn't really know much and expecting like big bombs and titty Michael Bay action,
Okay, but I don't think
kidding.
anybody who's going to go into this movie is not expecting some big exciting thing.
Yeah.
I gotta talk about, man, the main character is super ballsy in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole movie is like, bro, what are you doing? Calm down.
Yeah, like again, him. I liked his presence. He felt like he was just. As soon as he got in there, he's like, I'm getting out of here. And I think again they do a great job establishing it. All the themes immediately in like the first 5 minutes when he's sitting there and you just see his hand looking open to the door. He's waiting for his opportunity. He's like, there's something going by. I might be able to escape now. Nope, not yet. This might be a good moment. No, okay. And then he's like, all right, now. And then he just fucking books it. And, he fails, but still, like, just shows he's not going quietly.
Yeah, I love the guy in the car with him. He's just like watching him, like, you gonna fucking do it? You gonna do it? You gonna do it? And then he finally does it.
Yeah, it's like definitely a story about someone that refuses to have their spirit be broken.
Yeah. Like he's representative of hope, right?
Yeah, even then, there's like a moment where the guards are like, okay, we found out people are passing notes or whatever, so we're gonna basically find pencils. Anyone who has a pencil in your cell, like, you have to give it up now, and if you don't give it up, we're gonna shoot you if we find one. And he's like, I could give it up. It would be very easy. I don't even necessarily need this pencil right now. He says, I'm not giving it up.
Yeah.
He finds a way to hide it, and he's like, nah, fuck that. Like, I'm not giving it up. I'm holding on to that pencil.
Yeah, balls for him, like Fontaine, my hero, 2021.
Yeah.
But this called like no, and also like remember he called them cowards because they didn't even search his bed after.
Yeah,
He's just like cowards. He's just a pass in order.
Yeah, I was like, all right, so here's the part where they're gonna like tear apart his room or something, but they don't, but it kind of does add more to like his perspective. He's like, yeah, fuck these guys. Like, I can get out of here.
Yeah,
if I really want to.
So it's okay. So in this film, obviously we talked about sound and stuff like that. And I've read an article where kind of like it's basically like a challenge of faith and hope. Which characters do you feel like represent that type of challenge the best? I know like at the point he talks to like the pastor, he talks to a guy who reads the Bible, and he talks to like the kid. Like how emblematic do you think that journey is? Like if you guys are breaking down, like for me, I actually think the reason why he doesn't kill the kid, like I think you guys have a different reason, is that I think like when he sees the kid and he hears the kid's like talks about his youth, his family, and like what he wants to do after his future, right? The kid is almost emblematic of like what he like not necessarily his future particularly, but the idea of like a future beyond these walls, right? Like it is furthering emphasizing the idea of hope, right? Like, and him killing that kid, the youth, right? The youth is the future of the country. Is kind of maybe like him like giving up on like hope for the country, and that's against I think his character. I think him not killing him and him essentially freeing the youth from the prison is like his own way. It's almost like, okay, I'm going to continue the fight afterwards. But what do you guys think? Why do you think he doesn't kill the kid? And also, like, what are the things that you think kind of further along the idea of hope persevering and faith persevering in like troubling times?
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, I don't think he kills the kid because, like, I think he's just like a good person.
Yeah.
Like, he understands that like it's not just his life at stake. Like, you could kill the kid, but at the end of the day, like, would you be a good person for that? No, absolutely not. But also, like, coming down to hope and faith. when his friend, the other guy with the hooks, and he tries to escape and he fails, that's kind of like a hopeless moment, you know, like,
Yeah.
because his friend was like good to go. He was ready. And you see him sprint out like he's about to go. And then he dies and he.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of like a hopeless moment. That's like another moment where the stakes are raised.
That's
for Fontaine.
Orsini, right?
Yeah, I think
Orsini, right?
so.
That's his name, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orsini. Yeah. Well, what about you, Blake? Was like, what are your thoughts on like why you didn't kill the kid, or what do you think about?
Yeah,
like,
I
the
think
themes overall?
I mean, maybe I have a different interpretation, but I think it's almost like, is he really gonna like? He has to escape, but is he really gonna kill this fucking kid to have to do it? Because it's like that's worsening someone else for his own benefit. And
Yeah,
like
would it
Jason-
even be worth it?
Yeah, would it even be worth it to escape if it costs the life of some random kid? I don't think it's almost like, I mean, I don't know that the director was thinking this far, but maybe that puts you in a whole other kind of moral prison that you'll never escape from, truly. And yeah, I don't know, just kind of what Jason said. I think he's a good person, but you made some really good points too about that would be him giving up faith in his like the country,
Right.
And by freeing him, he's kind of, you know, it's the ultimate character arc almost.
Yeah, and this movie came out not too long after World War II, and like after like the French
Yeah.
struggle and stuff like that.
Yeah, like just about a decade
Yeah.
and a half afterwards. I think like a lot of his thoughts are like just come out when he's talking to the guy next to him, his cell neighbor who's suicidal, and he's just like, no, like he's like, what hope is there, right? Like he's like, don't you have someone out there? And he's like, no, I don't. It's like, it's just me, like everyone else is gone or whatever. And he's like, well, there's still always a chance for something else. And then I like the part when he speaks to the kid, and the kid is like, well, the Germans are going to win, because that's a big part of it too. The kid is in a German outfit, right? Like what was he dressing up as a German soldier?
Yeah, just like getting favors.
Yeah, and then
or something.
he's
Yeah.
also like kind of
Also
like
deserted.
buddying up with the guards.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he's hit again the future of France, right? If he's representing that, he's like basically like, well, the Germans are gonna win, because in his eyes, he's like, of course they are. Like, did they won so quickly? Like, we're just completely overwhelmed. Like, we're done for. And the guy's like, no, we're not. They're gonna lose. We're gonna come back. Like, they're gonna go home, and we're gonna have to deal with what our actions were, like what we are and what we did during this war. So yeah, I think a lot of this harken back to like, again, what are you willing to do to survive, but like also keeping your humanity as well.
Well, one little thing I like about his neighbor is he's talking to him. He's like, what, you don't have anybody? You don't have a family? No, you don't have any friends? And he says, no. But their last conversation, the last thing he says to him is like, good luck, friend, or something like that. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. Like, there's a...
I think
little...
like even a moment like when he I forget what happens. He's like he tells him like, oh, congratulations, like because you made this or you did that. I forget exactly which part it is, but his neighbor congratulates him, and then he's like, oh man, it's like it made me so happy that he was happy for me in that moment, that he actually got excited about something. Like, that makes me feel like so much better.
Was it with the hooks and the lanterns? Is that what?
Yeah, I think so. He's like, I was able to make these hooks. And he's like, you did? That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Like he's not escaping, but he's just happy that he's gonna still make it out, and that gives him hope.
Yeah. That's really good. That's great.
The little victories.
Yeah, it's like I was like driving off the little bird. He's like, yeah, just do it, just go out the door, just like stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. I think like almost everything was carefully planned to a T. Where there was like the themes and what's it called, the themes, the sound design, and stuff like that. Okay, and now we went on and on about kind of the sound design, right? And especially like the use of diegetic sound, the non-diegetic sound. And one thing I noticed is this film actually doesn't have an original film score. Like, everything is from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, particularly his. I think it says Kyrie from his Mozart's Great Mass in C minor, K42-7.
And it's used very sparingly.
Yes,
too.
very sparingly. And it actually doesn't go into full blast until the end. And this is where I'm gonna get to my question. I guess this is my favorite use of sound is when they transition from like diegetic, like all in-world sound, to one of the probably the biggest moment at the end, when they finally escape from, essentially the prison was their world, right? They escape from the prison, and when it says Finn, like Finn, that's when like the score comes up, the non-diegetic transition from diegetic to non-diegetic, to kind of signify that they escaped from their world and now they're going off to something that's outside of it. I think that was like probably my favorite moment of sound design. What about you guys? What is your favorite, like, I know we were talking favorite like film moments, but what is your favorite like sound design like elements from this film? like you were like, okay, now that was shit. I'm gonna fucking record that and sleep with them, sleep with as if my baby type of thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep listening to the sound of the glass cracking. I think. No, but I think that moment was probably the sound that like made me the most tense. I think the sound of like ice breaking, but like the glass cracking as he put his arm up on the window, on the skylight, just that little crack, like oh fuck, like it probably got the most reaction from me. But yeah, again going back to the prisoners guard scene where again he's listening to the footsteps because you're just as drawn in. And they never show the train, which I think is great because the train is just running through the background and you hear it and you just obviously a train. You get all the mental images of a train coming by and stuff. And I don't know, it was synchronized very well with that scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I think that the whole thing, like I think, like basically I think like the train sound from like it's basically representing like they're getting closer to freedom or whatever, or his attempts at escaping. Like there's a train sound in the beginning when he escapes.
Yeah,
and that's when it comes. Or also like when he's on the rooftop. I think it's essentially the rooftop, right? Like, and then the only time they could proceed with their escape plan is when the train sound comes and muffles out their footsteps, and also the train where they kills the guard, and also at the end when they escape, the only diegetic sound you hear is the train, stuff like that. I think it's pretty like basically like the sound of hope. I'm gonna say, is that off base? I guess?
Yeah. Like leaving the station, just moving on.
Yeah. So what's your least favorite part of it? I know we all are gushing about it, but what would you guys? I know you mentioned the narration and stuff like that, right? But is there anything else you guys didn't like about the film?
I mean, it's pretty solid. There's not a lot to dislike about it.
There's one moment that was a little confusing to me, and it sucks because it was like at the in the climax when he was escaping. It was when the guard was riding the bike. And, like, did he leave? It didn't show him leaving, but they just proceeded anyway. Because they were waiting for him to, like, for an opening. But I didn't feel like they got one. But they just did it anyway.
Oh, I think it was, like, at 4 a.m., right? Like, it was, like, 4... They waited till, like, 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, once the thing was. And then I think, like, at that point, like, they heard... I'm guessing, I might add this wrong, but, like, they heard the bike guy, like, I guess, like, slow down or just stop biking. Or they would say, or at this point, they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, because I didn't see him. I was under the impression that he was continuing his patrol, but maybe not. That felt a little odd to me. But other than that, it was
Fontaine
great.
does say in his narration, it's 4 a.m. I'm butchering this. He probably words it much better than I am, but he says it's 4 a.m. Every minute that passes slims our chances. We just have to fucking do it.
Okay.
So I think maybe that was like a leap of faith. You could say.
Yeah.
Turns to the kid and says, "Bro, we gotta go."
Oh, another weird thing for me was the kid just fell asleep on the roof.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. If I was in that position, literally escaping from prison, I wouldn't be like, all right, I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, there was a slight suspension of disbelief, too. Like, after they kill the prison guard, and then they're sitting up on the roof for, like, an undisclosed amount of time. Like,
a few hours.
Yeah, it's like, no one checked on the guard? Like, the guard's just laying there? I mean, I understand, it's probably his shift, maybe just... But, like, no one ever walked by there. That was a little bit like, you kind of had to throw a little bit of logic out the window. But again, it was like so small and the scene itself is so well done that it didn't really drag it down.
My favorite part's at the end when he dabs after they do it. Then they start like TikToking.
He pulls out his vape and just blows a black cloud.
It's not train smoking, it's a vape smoking.
Bro, that was sick.
Oh gosh, that film. Oh my gosh. I think like, this is how John Krasinski, this is how you do a kid right. This is how you do a kid right. You know what I mean?
All right, so where would we put this on, like, as far as we're gonna rate it?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm putting it on the shelf.
Yeah, definitely on the shelf, not the museum for me, I think.
Yeah, not the museum. Not quite the museum. But...
you go, Jason, first.
I might put it in the museum. I feel like with older films, I'm a bit more lenient with stuff, and the fact that they managed to execute the sound design, execute the tension as well as they did back in 1956. Like, this movie's way more tense than like the fucking Quiet Place.
Yeah,
like,
exactly, I agree, 100%.
And like just how good the sound design was. Every little moment you heard, every little creak, every footstep, like it just worked real well for me. I'd put it in a museum. Fuck it.
Yeah, I would say so too. I think where it stands in film history, again, it like I don't think there. I don't know. Maybe there probably is a film out there. If you guys know about it, let us know. That like utilizes sound more than this in this time period or even earlier. Again, I would totally give it credit. I'd say museum.
Yeah, I think this is. I will preserve this. I will put this in the museum, then preserve it, encase it, then slap it with like ice, and just look at it from afar. No one's allowed to touch it. I love this.
I
Yeah,
put it
don't
on the
watch
shelf.
this movie.
I'm sticking with the shelf. I agree with what you guys are saying. For me, it's on the shelf. I'm probably gonna buy the Criterion.
Okay, wait, DVD or Blu-ray?
Criterion, Blu-ray.
Blu-ray, solid. Okay.
Yeah. I do think it would have been better if John Krasinski had directed it. Of course.
Oh gosh.
Honestly, he would have brought so much
He would have brought
more.
something to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
He also starred in it as well.
Yeah, if he starred in it.
This movie was
Emily
missing
Blunt
monsters.
was the teenage boy.
Jost.
Yeah, she was Jost.
randomly Jost to be like, ah! Look at the thing.
I think there should have been a point where like the guy like the kid had to sacrifice himself for the other guy and went ah
to allow him to escape.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I just know with John Krasinski. Put in there, he'll just put in like fucking Skrillex randomly. He just put like random score music. Gosh, John. Oh, John. Okay. Oh wait, this is a brief aside, nothing to do with Manscaped. I know we gave a rating, but this is gonna be a callback to our other Silver Lake episode. I just found this thing, and after watching it a couple times, apparently the main going theory is the dog killer is actually in the first 2 minutes of the film.
I think we talked about that.
Yeah, but like actually, like there's a guy.
Yeah, with the shirt.
Yeah.
Where
We
the
already
dog
talked about
killer.
it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Never mind. That's it called. Just like,
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, join us next week,
We'll talk about movies or something. I don't know.
specifically in honor of The Conjuring 2 coming out, or 3 or whatever.
I think it's like 5.
The devil
No,
made
it's-
me do
the
it.
newest
It's-
three.
The
it's
newest
3. There's been
possession
spin-offs.
Conjuring film. We're going to be talking about one of probably the most popular and well-known possession film ever made. That's The Exorcist, and we're pairing that with The Wailing, Korean horror film. Really excited to talk about both of those.
대한민국. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, super excited.
All right, and thank you, and see you guys next time.
I love you.
Bye.
See ya.
I love you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.